Welcome back to the Slanted Attic Experience. I'm your host, Tyler, and today we're heading straight into the Idaho backcountry with this week's guest, Rob. Rob is a full-time hunting guide in the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness with Boulder Creek Outfitters, Idaho's longest-running outfitter. Originally from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, his early love for the outdoors eventually pulled him west to a life spent under wall tents, on horseback, and in some of the most remote terrain in the lower 48. In this episode, we'll get into how Rob and I met, how he became a guide, and the animals he pursues each season. We'll talk about recurve and compound bows, the impact of wolf reintroduction in Idaho and Colorado, what it takes to ride into camp, shooting techniques, the role of dogs, fishing strategies, land access, and some memorable wildlife encounters. We also touch on his Pennsylvania roots and a quick detour into old baseball bats and growing up outside. If you're into real backcountry stories, conversation insight, and the raw side of outdoor life, this episode delivers. New episodes drop bi-weekly at 10:30 a.m. Eastern with the occasional surprise release. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Slanted Attic Experience. I'm trying to think of what number podcast this is. This might be like 48, 49, but today I'm joined by longtime friend, first-time podcast guest, Rob Taylor. So without further ado, you want to just give a little overview of maybe our relationship, how we met, and then kind of what you're up to now.
So Tyler and I met when I was a sophomore in high school. We played baseball together for a couple years, and we had some great memories on the team. We had gym class. I remember we had gym class together when I was the
Yep,
Cougar Bowl kid in Palmyra,
that's
and
right.
Tyler was very influential in telling me not to listen to the to the principals and go eat the Cougar Bowls. But uh, but yeah, we met on the baseball team and became really good friends. And nowadays, I'm out in Idaho working as a hunting guide for Boulder Creek Outfitters, and I take people on backcountry elk hunts, backcountry mule deer, whitetail, bear, turkey, kind of whatever you name out here that we got for game.
Yeah, so two kind of questions for that. A, how do you even get into that? And then B, do you split your time between Pennsylvania and are you in Idaho right now?
Yep,
Montana?
yes sir,
Idaho?
Idaho. So how I kind of got into it was well, I was kind of born and raised, in the outdoors. My dad was a
Of course.
big influential part on getting me to go outside, go fishing, go hunting, and even during like football and baseball seasons in high school, like if I had time after a practice, before a game, after a game, before a practice, I'd be out hunting or fishing, whatever was in season at that point in time. And I kind of couldn't get away from it. So when I got to be about 21, uh, I was trying to take the wildlife conservation route to be a wildlife conservation officer, and I kind of backed off from that and decided to go more. I started looking into what's called guide schools. So
Uh-huh.
you can go to guide schools, and now on the East Coast we don't really run them because there's not the the call for a lot of outfits on the East Coast based on, they do a lot more duck hunting. They'll do whitetail ranch like reserves that you can go on
Right.
and pay to shoot deer and stuff like that. But out here, there's much more of a call for people to go into the backcountry and learn how to pack with mules, how to hunt
That's
in
so
these
cool.
very remote areas. So I found a guide school called Royal Time Guide School in Phillipsburg, Montana, and I went there in August of 2022. And it's a 30-day trade school that they give you a crash course in all things wilderness guiding and just set you off with a basic understanding of what you're going to be doing. And then once you get to the outfit that you'll be working at, you kind of every outfit has its own ways that it does certain things, so they really kind of build you up once you get to the job that you're going to be working at. And then once you get the experience, it just kind of flows hand in hand with itself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So like I don't want to dive into like pay structure or anything like that, but do you get paid? Is it like commission? Like do you go out on a hunt and if you guys actually, kill something, you'll get paid or do you get more paid by trip? How does that work?
So the how I'm contracted is I'm actually an independent contractor for
That's
the
cool.
company that I work with, and
Nice.
then they pay me a day wage based on if I'm guiding or not guiding, and then
Right.
at the end of each hunt, it's up to the hunters, but they tip us at the end of each
Right.
hunt.
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 No, I get that. Coming from the world of golf, good caddy means everything, man. Like,
Oh, heck
I
yeah! If you
mean,
can talk,
the,
if you can talk and walk, I mean, a lot of the times if you don't get anything on a hunt, a big part of your tip comes from, the experience you give someone. Like,
right.
not, if you're closed up and don't want to, talk to them and all you want to do is hunt with them, it's more about having an experience while hunting than it is hunting while having an experience. So
Right.
a lot of the times, like if there's not game around, I mean, you got to know your flora and fauna, the woods around you. You got to know the natural history of things. Like where I work, Lewis and Clark walked right over the same ground that I hunt.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
cool.
a big part of it is like telling guys, hey, we might not be seeing game, but I'll tell you what, Lewis and Clark walked through here with Sacagawea 200 years ago.
Right. Right. Yeah, dude, that's a phenomenal attitude to have. I want to commend you on that because not everybody is going to their day job and being like, hey, I got to be here 100%, be interactive, make sure this person has an experience rather than just maybe an opportunity would be a word for it. But
Yeah.
do you do a lot of rifle hunting or do you do bow hunting as well? I always hear Joe talk about when he has I forget the hunters who he has on there, but they talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
backpacking
Cam
to hunt elk. Yeah, is it Cameron Haynes?
Yeah, Cam Haynes, Steven Ranella.
Yeah,
He
sure.
has. I'm trying to think. There's a big archery guy that he has on quite often. But what we do is like we kind of do everything. So when it
Yeah.
comes to like my season, how it'll start out is I'll start out in April, and if they have turkey hunts available for me to guide, I'll guide for turkey with a shotgun. And then our bear season picks up right in May, so you're allowed to
hmm
hunt bear with anything. You can hunt them, I mean, with a pistol, with a rifle, shotgun, crossbow, whatever you want.
What do you
And
use? I
then
mean, I'm assuming you're not using like a recurve bow to do
mo-
that, right?
you'd be surprised. So a lot of people, we
People
had a
do?
couple guys this year come in with recurves, and what we do is
No
we set up
way.
tree stands for them, like 10-yard,
Okay.
15-yard tree stands, like looking right down on top of a bear bait, and you get guys that come for elk with trad bows too. And it's a lot
Yeah.
harder to kill an elk with a trad bow, but the type of elk hunting that we do, we're able to bring elk into sub 20 yards. So
Oh wow.
most of the time, if you're using a trad bow, if you're using a compound, it'll be the same hit if you as long as you're accurate with it.
Right.
But
Right.
bears, a lot more people hunt bears with rifles, just
hmm
because where we're at, kind of the mountains that we hunt are so steep that we kind of have to shovel out a pad so it's nice and flat where the bear bait is. And if that
Gotcha.
bear gets hit and goes one way or the other, it'll drop 300 yards. I mean, just rolling down the hill, if
Yeah.
even if they put it right on the ground. So we try and steer away from bow hunters during, not steer away, but like, try and let them know that if they do have a rifle, because what we also have the opportunity of a two bear unit, where most states in the US, it's one bear per season. In the unit that we hunt, because of the actual bear population and how
Uh-huh.
dense and thick the place is, you can't really trim the population off to begin with. So they give out two tags a person. So we always tell people, get your
Wow.
bear first, and then we'll go with a bow. Get your bear first, and then we'll go with a bow.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I mean, you probably need to mediate that population too. It's important for them to fill it, maybe not as many tags as they can, but a good amount so they can regulate whatever you have in that area. How many, do you know how many bear there are?
I know that the bear population, they actually don't have a specific count on it, but I know the bear population in northern Idaho, where I hunt, is one of the highest in the US for population, for density for black bears.
Wow.
And the whole reason why it's a two bear unit, and they started this about 15 years ago, and they started to allow baiting and everything like that. But
hmm
so they released wolves into the wilderness that I work in the early 90s. And when
hmm
they did that, So the unit, if you ever wanted to, you could look up Unit 12 in North Idaho on it's the Lolo A zone, and the elk population there used to be the best elk hunting in the country. It was number one for public land success, and
Wow.
you now our elk population has dropped down to almost nothing,
Really?
and
Is everybody hunting it, or because
it's
because of the wolves?
it's because of the wolves.
Yeah.
So the wolves did a horrible number on the elk, but there was a study done in 2002 or 2001 or 2002 where they
Hmm.
collared pregnant elk to when an elk is pregnant, when a cow elk is pregnant, they'll when they're getting ready to drop, they start circling. They'll make a circle pattern. And the guys that were watching this on the collars, as soon as they started to see that circle pattern, they had college cross country runners that they would send up the trail to
Yeah.
get to the cow elk right after she dropped the calf because they wanted to record that the calf was alive. At the time that the study was done, it was a 90% mortality rate on elk from black bears, following the elk herd around and picking the calves right up off the ground and eating them.
Wow.
Yeah. So you couldn't like the elk are already dealing with mountain lions and bears, and then we threw wolves into the equation, and now it's a three-pronged spear. It
Sure.
destroys the elk population. So they've made wolf tags over the counter. It's $30. Like most people would think a wolf tag in Idaho or Montana costs $500 to kill a wolf, like as a non-resident. For a resident, it's $5 for a wolf tag. For a non-resident, it's $30. So that's kind of how the state feels
Right.
about those populations. They want them not decimated, but taken down to a point that the elk can actually recover. And nowadays, we're at the last I heard, it was at like a 55% mortality rate on the elk. So still over every one and two are getting killed,
Right.
but it's better than 90 out of 100.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Wow. So that was going to be my next question. You guys are getting impacted by wolves for sure. I'm sure your take on the would they reintroduce wolves to Colorado
Hmm.
recently or whatever. I was like, that's very interesting. Who makes that decision? Like, do you know?
So most of the time it gets voted on by voters in the state, and like
Ah,
in Oregon, like where they released, you have a lot more, and it usually is bluer states that will do the wolf reintroduction, and the reason for that is because a lot more, we say greenies, but it's the people that very much care about conservation in the outdoors, but when we have decimated a super predator off the landscape and haven't had them on the landscape for 90 years, 100 years, sometimes even
mm-hmm.
longer with the wolves, to throw them back in, most people don't realize the actual damage that that does. And in Colorado, they found out very quickly because what a lot of people don't know is they got those wolves from Oregon, and they were problem wolves that had been trapped in Oregon, and they brought them down to Colorado. Now these were wolves that already had a history of killing cattle.
Smart.
So when you have animals that are already killing livestock and then you throw them into a very heavy, rich livestock state like Colorado, you're going to have conflict almost immediately. And that was exactly
Right.
what happened in Colorado is people just started shooting the wolves because they're watching wolves chase their cattle. They're watching and then there was also wolves that were crossing into Wyoming, and the guys that are sitting in Wyoming with a wolf tag are just waiting to see that collared wolf come running across. That to most people, that they don't want to shoot a collared wolf because that's supposed to be a structure of the landscape that they're supposed to be
Ah,
there. Well, a lot of people don't feel that way. So the second it turns legal that that wolf goes into a state where wolf hunting is legal, it's not coming out of it.
right.
And
That's
even in
crazy.
Colorado, like you had the Ranchers Association of Colorado stood up and was like, "Hey, you guys released 12 wolves in, and we've already had 8 cattle killed in a matter of 2 weeks. So they allowed the ranchers to just start picking them off. So it was almost they funded a project that went straight into the ground, and then I believe they're still releasing wolves into Colorado, and
They're
people
still
are
doing
against it. But it's Fish and Game. Fish and Game is making all the calls on it.
it. Interesting. That's wild. That's wild. I don't know, man. That's like things like that make me question the process, so to speak. It's like, I don't know, anybody that understands how a natural environment works with an apex predator could kind of have an idea that something like that might be coming. But again, leave it to politics. Let them do whatever. I guess. I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm more interested in the wildlife regulation aspect, and
Mm-hmm.
how we kind of have so much input because we've, like you said before we started, we've destroyed so much of their natural habitat. So we have to have such a large influence on regulating all of these species.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you specifically about getting packed up, taking the trek. Is that a 3 day, 4 day excursion? Like, tell me how that works. You drive up and meet these guys in a parking lot, and there's just horses waiting for you, and you ride them off into the wilderness on like a Thursday.
So basically, how it works is like these guys, they'll book their hunt, and we usually for elk season for September and October we run 3 hunts, and they're all 6 days of hunting, 8 days total. So the clients will get there on what we call pack-in day, and
Mm-hmm.
pack-in day is like the guides will wake up before the clients are there. We'll get all of the animals, and like we run out of a wilderness lodge right at a campground that campground we have a series of trails that we can go to any camp that we want to, and depending
Nice.
on what year and what camp we're using, we have access to everything. But
That's cool. That's
uh,
so neat.
the clients will show up, and we usually we it takes us probably about 4 hours most of the time, but we'll have all of their animals saddled. We'll have the client riders, which are the horses. Usually they ride horses and the guides will ride mules. We'll saddle their animals. We'll saddle all of our livestock for our packing, which is usually about 5 mules per camp. So
Mm-hmm.
in total you're usually riding in with about 12 head of stock, including the one that you're
Yeah.
riding. um and once we get everything ready, we get all the client gear into four separate piles. We try and get the gear kind of sorted to where we have even loads. And you want about each load is about 70 pounds, give or take, is what you want. You
Mm-hmm.
want about 17% of the animal's body weight in total. So a 1,000 pound mule, you can do about 170 pounds for a decent trip.
Gotcha.
uh, we'll load up, and then we'll take off from the trailhead, and one guide usually leads out with the string of how if they're pulling 5 mules, they'll lead, and then the other guide sticks at the back of the string and just watches all the loads, make sure that they're all riding even, because if anything starts going haywire, you got to stop everything in the middle of the trail, get off, go adjust a load. And then the other guide is riding with the clients behind him. So we that way he's right in the middle, and if anything were to go haywire, the guide can stop animals from coming back towards the clients. And then we usually ride for our pack-in camp, so we'll ride about 3.5 hours in. So
Nice.
it's usually 12, 13 miles to our pack-in camp. And then once we're there, we you are not allowed usually to hunt the same day that you pack in. And then the following day, we it starts our hunt. So we do 6 consecutive days of hunting. And on the last day, so on the 8th day is our pack out day, and we do the same thing that we did on pack in day, just coming out of camp. So, and that could
Right.
involve packing out bulls, packing out bears, packing out, mule deer, whitetail, whatever you get while you're there. But the bear hunts are only 5 days.
Gotcha. Do you skin all the animals, or and then you have a butcher prepare it back at like the lodge or whatever, or does the
Yeah.
client usually do that?
So we are usually responsible. The guide itself is usually responsible for skinning, caping, quartering. We always ask guys because if you're an outdoorsman, most guys don't like to just stand there and watch you carve up their elk. They like to get involved, and an elk's a
Sure.
if you get a good sized bull, it's 600 pounds. So it's hard to get a bull moved around when you're trying to quarter it up. And we'll take all usable meat that we can off of every animal that we get, besides bears
Absolutely.
because of the salvation requirement. But
What's that?
uh, so bears and it's actually predators in Idaho.
Uh-huh.
So the salvage requirement is you are only required to salvage the head and hide from bears and wolves and mountain lions alike. You do not have to take the meat because bears have trichinosis and so do mountain lions. So they used to require you to pull out the meat, and nowadays it for a lot more people will take their fall bear meat because they've had time to get fat and put on weight throughout the year. Spring bears are coming out of hibernation and they've been starving all winter. So they're coming
Right.
out, they're very lean, they don't have much fat, and a big use that a lot of people use bears for is bear oil or bear grease. So they like to render the fat
Interesting.
down, and I mean, bear grease is like if you want to cook with, a lot of people cook with bacon grease. Bear
Yeah.
grease is excellent to cook with.
Really? I didn't
Hmm.
know that. I wonder if I can purchase that. I mean, definitely not in my fucking supermarket, my Kroger down
Uh,
the street, but
you,
like, can I buy it online?
I think you actually certain because there's certain products like you can bear grease and bear oil. They put it in for like shampoo because it can help regenerate hair. Uh, it can. I'm
Ah,
trying to think what else bear grease is used for, but there's cooking. There's a lot of different things that you can use bear grease for. But it's very a lot of people in like Oklahoma, Arkansas, like states like that throughout during the frontier, pretty much during like the 1800s, if
hmm,
you had a bear on your barn at home, that means that you had good meat and you had bear grease in plentiful amounts. So, and that can get a family through the winter if you can get 4 or 5 jars of bear grease, just make mason jars when it comes to cooking, when it comes to,
right.
doing regular household stuff.
That's wild. I never thought of it
Mhm.
like that. I guess, wow. Interesting, especially from a fatty animal. I'll have to try that. My
It's
girlfriend
dude,
Grace loves to cook. And,
if you render your own bear fat, I've had food that's cooked in bear fat before, and I
yeah,
almost want to say it tastes clean. Like it's like a
yeah,
very clean grease. It's not like bacon grease where it's very healthy for you too. Bear
yeah,
fat is.
absolutely. Man, that's one thing that I always chat about with the people on here who are environmentalists, hunters, eat meat that they uh, harvest or kill themselves. It's such more quality than what I can go to Kroger to Walmart and buy in a freaking pound of ground beef or like chicken breasts or anything like that. Like the quality of meat that you're getting out of a natural bred animal is unbelievable because of the variety of their diet. They're not, what is it, the tenseness of the muscle or whatever. I've heard about
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
so
you
many different
like clean
factors, but
shots, adrenaline can affect how meat can taste. If you don't put a clean shot through a deer or something and they get that
really,
adrenaline spike, yeah, it can actually it makes it taste gamier in my opinion.
huh?
Versus if you hit a deer and drop it on the spot where it had no idea what happened and it's not going to know what happened. That
Right.
deer compared to a deer that you hit, ran 200 yards and then fell over dead, it's they're two very different meats.
That's craziness.
Hmm.
So, kill shot for a deer, arrow through what is it? The left like high hind quarter into the lung. Can you shoot him through like the brainstem or something like that? And how is it different for bear? I'm assuming it's all different, but you want to tell either if the client isn't experienced, right? You want to guide them to shoot in a general vicinity. I would assume.
Yeah, so for deer, we always tell them it also depends on where they're standing on a mountain.
Yeah,
So
fair
if a
enough.
deer's standing on the side of a cliff, I will tell them to shoulder shoot all day long. Like just hit both front shoulders and drop them. And then if it'll 9 times out of 10 that puts them down, but it incapacitates them for one, and they're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Bears are the same way. It's called telling them shoot to anchor, and you're really just trying to anchor their front. So if you have to put a follow-up shot, they're not going anywhere. Their nose is in the
Hmm.
ground. A lot of guys don't listen to us when we tell them that. They still, everybody always talks about, oh, put it right behind the shoulder. With deer, you can do that. With elk, you can do that. With a bear's vitals are actually lower than any other animal, and bears are the only
Really?
animal that when they like, if a bear sits its ass down and is still up on its front paws, all of its vitals in its chest will shift downward. So it
Really?
leaves a giant open space. Like if you're looking at a bear like you were looking at me, right? And I'm,
Right.
sitting there looking at you,
Yeah.
all its heart that would usually be right here is now down here.
Down towards past your
Yeah.
sternum and towards your stomach. That's
There
crazy.
it just lowers. So if you ever put like that's why we always tell people don't shoot a bear if it's sitting like that. Wait until it actually starts moving and you can see because
Gets
you
up
can a bear is like a deer you want to put higher on the shoulder, whereas a bear you want to actually put lower on the shoulder
like
and
under the
hit
armpit.
just behind it because their heart's a lot smaller and it's a lot kind of placed down in a weirder angle than any
Sure.
other animal I've seen.
That's
But
crazy. That's crazy. And I'm assuming you wait for them to be still for the most part. Like,
oh yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
with bears, you actually like when I put a client out on a bear, I'm almost never with them when they shoot their bear,
Oh, really?
and we take them out to a bear bait, and most of the time we have either a ground blind or a tree stand set up, and we'll get there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and get them up in the tree stand. I'll go bait their bait, and then I give the old sayonara and good
Hmm.
luck, and I take off, and then I wait usually a mile or two away from them. In between, most of the time we have two clients, one on one bait, one on the other, and then I'll try and find a middle ground where I can hear shots from both ways.
Right.
And if you hear a shot, you go up and check on them, or I'll give them a radio to radio me if they drop one. But I've only actually been with this year. I got to do it twice. I saw two bears get killed, and one guy shot over my head to kill
Oh,
his bear.
wow.
And then the other one, we happened to just be we were standing on a hillside, and I had set a grease fire, which is how we bait, and I was standing there talking to the guy. I mean, just like I'm talking to you, and I'm looking over at the fire, and all of a sudden I see a bear poke its head out from behind a tree. And I'm like, "There's a and he ended up getting that one. But the guy that shot over my head, I was actually walking up to the bear bait, which it was
Yeah.
at pretty steep angle up the hill, and the blinds down at the bottom. You cross a creek, and then you go up to the bait. And I was about halfway up to the bait, holding my thing of Pop Tarts, and then my thing of cooking grease, my bucket of cooking grease. And I'm walking through, and all of a sudden I hit its scent line of like I could smell this bear, and I
Oh,
stopped
wow.
and looked over to my right, and this bear wasn't 20 yards from me, just standing there looking at me. And I'm like, oh no. So I turn around, and the hill I was on was steep enough I could slide down it. So I just started flailing my arms, sliding down it. And the hunter was looking at, I had hunted with him quite a bit prior. We've hunted
Uh,
together the past few years, and I told him it was going to be interesting. Well, I came flying down the hill, and he said my eyes were about that freaking big.
oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, there's a bear and as soon as I got down to him, I scooted across the creek and got over, and he was already on the rifle, ready for me.
Uh-huh.
The same way that bear was just sitting there looking at us. And I go, and he dropped it on the spot. And I had to go set out another hunter. So the other guy heard the gunshot, and this was at 3:30 in the afternoon. So
Sure.
that doesn't usually happen. Most of the time, we get bears at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night because they're much more of a nocturnal animal. Well, I
Interesting. I
go,
didn't know that.
yeah, I go walking over to the other guy and he goes, "Did I hear a gunshot?" And I went, "Yeah, Mike already shot a bear over on the." And he just looked at me like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, dude, there's bears around. We're gonna kill some.
That's wild.
But
So safety concerns. I'm assuming it sounds like most of these guys are relatively experienced hunters for the most
oh
part. So
yeah,
like, right, yeah, the people spending the money to get out there and have enough experience to even keep up with you guys. I couldn't imagine trying to ride out on a fucking horse, dude, and trying to do something like that.
We do it in the dark too. Like
Oh,
we pick clients up, and a lot of guys don't realize it until the first night. But we tell them, we're like, hey, this is our means of transportation right here. So we're riding them in the dark with no headlamps, and we make sure the trails are good and cut out. So like you're never gonna get hit in the face with a branch or anything. But
right.
we force guys to take their headlamps off and trust the animal that they're on. And a lot of guys that like don't have
That's
horseback
cool.
experience, they don't it's much more of a control thing than anything. Like if they are always in control of their
Absolutely.
life, they don't like being not in control of an animal in the dark in the middle of the wilderness. So they
Hmm.
ask us, they're like, are you sure these horses are okay to do that? And I'm like, dude, I've fallen asleep on these horses riding them before. So I don't have a problem with them. I know they're not going to throw you off.
Right. That's crazy, man. That's so neat. That's so neat. Like I have, I mean, I've never been hunting. I keep bugging my buddies. I at least want to go duck hunting. Would love to go deer hunting as well. But like I can't even fathom an experience like that. Not only like what it would be like, but I think like internally as an animal myself, like being on the hunt with, with as almost as raw as it can get, especially like bow hunting. You're riding out there on a horse, setting up camp, and you're tracking and hunting these animals. So that's really cool to me. So
A lot of the times, guys really get a kick out of the elk hunting when it comes to like September archery season. Um,
hmm
it's like you said, it's as raw as you can get. And that, I don't know if you've ever been in the presence of a bull bugling at sub 20
I have not.
yards. It is the craziest, I mean, most ear piercing, wood shaking sound you have ever heard in your life. And this is coming from, I guide for these animals. And dude, like, there's a video of me from last year where I was up on top of a mountain, and I was
Uh,
with my third week clients in elk season. It was our first morning going out, and these guys, they had been on elk hunts before, like they had been on a couple, but they had never done the backcountry elk hunt. Well, and they hadn't hunted bulls during the rut, because that's the thing about September is the elk are rutting, so they're not call shy. You can get them right in. Well,
gotcha.
we walked over this hillside, and I let a cow estrus call go, and well, I let a bugle go. Nothing responded, and I let a cow estrus call go. And midway through my cow call, this bull came unglued from like 200 yards below me, and that's
Um,
incredibly close for an elk. Like to if you don't know that there's elk down there and you hear a bugle pop off like that, in the video I stopped calling and the call drops out of my mouth and I kind of turn around and look at them and go, all right guys, we got to get ready. And this bull was on top of us in 90 seconds.
wow.
I mean, and I've been close to bulls before, but I had never seen this bull was the biggest bull I had seen in a while, and we ended up arrowing it. But when I called at it, as soon as I immediately told them, I was like, get your bows ready, get your arrows knocked, like this bull's coming in. And they didn't grasp what was happening. And I told them, I'm
Yeah,
like, it's coming in, like we got to get ready. And I I sat down against a tree, and no sooner did I sit down and I could feel this bull's feet hitting the
yeah.
ground coming up. And I kind of sat back against the tree and I'm like, dude, I don't know how this is going to go. And the bull ended up wrapping right around the top of us, and he came on plane with me right on the side of the mountain. Dude, he was 10 yards from me when he got shot. And I'm sitting against a tree, and all of a sudden, this bull, I see the flash of, fur coming through of the golden fur, and he comes walking in, and it was, I mean,
It's
like I
huge.
said,
Yeah.
yeah, he was one of the biggest bulls I've ever seen, if not the biggest. Well, there was a tree hanging over right in front of him, and when you get a bull in that close, you can let a really light cow call out, and most of the time it'll bring him in 5 steps closer. Well, he stopped and he looked over at me, and I let this cow call go, and the tree that was hanging down, I've only heard of it. This was the first time I had seen it. This bull dropped his antlers all the way down to the side. He was 3 to 4 inches from the ground and 2 inches from the tree above him, and he walked perfectly underneath it without touching a single thing, and just popped up in front of me. And I
That's
kind of, I
crazy.
mean, if there was a camera on me, I would have been sitting there just like
Yeah, freaking out.
looking. And I hit another cow call, and the bull stopped, and I mean, he was less than 10 yards. He's just staring at me on the ground, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this guy better shoot. And about that time, I heard the arrow hit. I mean, that was probably the coolest experience I had had besides the first bull that I called in, which the same thing happened. It came in
Uh-huh.
like they walk in and their antlers are just going side to side, and they just got a big look in their eyes because they're honed in on the rut. They're
Oh
ready to
yeah.
screw. So
Oh yeah.
it if I could get like I wish I could bring people in on something like that and just be a fly on the wall to
Mm-hmm.
experience that. Because even if you're not hunting, to have a wild animal that's 600, 700 pounds standing 10 yards in front of you
Right
and
in front of
letting
you.
go this, like, this song that God pretty much put out for us. Like, it's the most majestic screaming animal I've ever heard in my life.
That's oh man. I can't even imagine. That makes me want to I need to I need to get my pistol registered in Virginia.
Yeah.
B, I need to learn how to shoot again. It's been a few years. Then C, then I need to buy a rifle, go on a couple deer hunts, and then I'll come join you. So you got to give me like maybe 3 or 4 years, get the
Well,
experience in, and then we'll make it out there.
you got elk in Virginia.
Do we?
Oh
I've
yeah.
never seen one here. I've never seen one in person.
There's elk in Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. They're starting to get them in New York, and then we have the biggest in Pennsylvania. We have the largest elk population on the East Coast.
Really? How
Oh
have I
yeah.
never seen one then? That
If you
seems
ever
that seems not real. Maybe in the distance or something. I don't know.
if you ever go up to Benezet, PA, in Elk County, Pennsylvania, in
Uh-huh.
September, dude, you want to hear elk bugle? Yeah, I mean, they'll
Go in
stand 20
September.
yards from me chasing cows. And it's I personally have never been up to Benezet, but if you like even look up videos of elk in Benezet, PA, we have some of the largest elk in the lower 48 in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And they're free range elk. Like I mean, they're all wild.
Yeah.
They're not raised in pens or anything like that, but they were implanted about 100 years ago, and we've been trying to work on building up the elk herd in PA. So now in Pennsylvania, it's a lottery draw, and anybody from anywhere in the U.S. can put in, and it's the same price. It's $25 to put in for the lottery,
Oh wow.
and they give out like 200 elk tags a year in Pennsylvania, 100 cows and 100 bulls.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. I
and
can't
you can
imagine
do
how much
archery,
work you get
rifle,
out for that
muzzleloader.
too. Muzzle you can do muzzle loader.
Oh
Doesn't
yeah.
that like destroy the animal? Larger impact make like maybe a shotgun like it doesn't spoil like a surmountable amount of meat to make it not worth it.
Not really, just
You
because
know what I mean?
elk are so big, like if
Sure.
like the elk that are running around in Pennsylvania are probably pushing 600-700 pounds for bulls, and they eat on a lot of alfalfa. They'll eat on soybeans. They'll eat a lot of the same things that deer eat. And the thing about them is if you hit one with a muzzleloader, like most of the time, muzzleloader has a knockdown power because you're using a 50 caliber or higher bullet, but it will still blow through like a rifle, and you won't
Gotcha.
if you hit a shoulder shot on an elk, you might ruin a little bit of meat, but you still have three other quarters that both of the hind quarters themselves are 80 pounds of meat, 70 pounds of meat. So
That's wild.
and that's not counting, the back straps, the tenderloins, the rib meat, the
Mhm.
neck meat. Like you can get off of a good bull, you can get 300 pounds of meat, of deboned meat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even comprehend that. I go to like Costco and I get like 6 pounds of ground beef.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. I had a buddy, he shot three elk. Well, he shot an elk, his wife shot an elk, and his son shot an elk. And
Uh-huh.
he told me, he goes, dude, I have a half a ton of elk meat that I need to get rid of some of this. So he, a couple years ago, he sent me home with a cooler full of elk meat to come home to Pennsylvania. And I don't
Yeah.
think I ever answered that either. I live in Idaho now.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I
exciting. Do
moved,
you rent? I'm
moved.
assuming you rent a place.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I, we moved out here in March of this year. So before March, I
Nice.
was actually commuting back and forth. I would
You're
either
back and
fly or
forth.
drive.
Yeah, I couldn't remember when we did the Palm City Chucks podcast. I think that was back in December, and you were in Palmyra, so that's why I didn't really know where you were at. That's exciting, dude. So you're out there full time. So can you guide full season, or you have like heavy winter months off, heavy summer months? Are
Oh,
you fully year round?
I get 1 month in the summer off. I get July off, and then
Nice.
I'll work most of the time. Like I could work July if I wanted to, but I work like very end of March until the very end of November. And then once November rolls through, November 20th is usually my last day, and then I get the whole winter off until the end of March again.
Nice. Nice.
The only
Yeah.
season I don't do is mountain lion. I haven't gotten into mountain lion hunting quite yet.
Is that something you want to do or not?
I'm kind of iffy on it, and the only
Yeah.
reason is, the guys that run mountain lions, their dogs that they use, like my buddy Brian, he owns 14 red bone hounds that he uses as his bear dogs and as his mountain lion dogs.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is like it doesn't happen every year, but if not every other year, every third year, you're losing a dog to a lion,
Yeah.
if not multiple. And or to, an accident happen, like you could roll
Right.
a snowmobile, you could roll a side by side with a dog box on it, and something happens, like it's just, and to me, I couldn't see myself putting my own animal, because I'm very much an animal person, and when
Sure.
I have a pet, it's, that's my pet. That's
Right.
it's my
Yeah,
home
I hear
pet.
you.
But they're working dogs, and those dogs know, that's their job. So
Right.
they'll go to the death on a mountain lion. So it's a lot of the times what happens is like a hunter makes a bad shot on a lion, and it comes out of the tree and then gets bayed up, and bayed up is when it's on the ground, and when they're on the ground they don't go down without a fight.
Sure.
So a lot of the times, you'll get a dog that gets hung up with a mountain lion, and it's that dog versus that mountain lion, and whoever
Right.
comes out of it comes out of it. But I was with last year, and they lost a dog. Actually, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they lost a dog to a lion getting a hold of it, and you can't really, you can't do much about it. So
Yeah.
I want to get into lion hunting. I've ran bears with dogs with my buddy before, and that's always fun. But
Yeah.
I watched a bear come 30 yards out of a tree and land on a dog. I mean, it's they like the hound hunting aspect of things gets crazy sometimes.
That was going to be my next question. How is that incorporated? Because I know like simplistic duck hunting, they usually retrieve a lot of the animals that you shoot out of the sky, and they can they go through and they can ruffle up stuff too. But I feel like that's totally different sport hunting a bear with a dog than a duck. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like
yeah.
what's that like? I mean, you kind of got into the mountain lion thing a little bit. I was literally going to ask you about that, but like, yeah, tell me a little more about it.
So with the bear hunting, and bear and lion they do the same thing, but lions they much more rely on snow. Bear they just
Okay.
rely on, good weather, and cold temperatures is what they really like, because scent trails will stay in the air. So when I was on a couple hound hunts with my buddy Brian, what we would do is we'd load up in his side by side, and he keeps a dog box on the back of his side by side where he keeps 8 dogs in the dog box, and then
Uh-huh.
four on each side, and then he'll put two up top, and the two up top they're the sniffers. So you'll just be, driving down the road, and what you're trying to do is catch a track that went across the road, and it's fresh enough that those dogs can smell that scent
Yeah.
trail, and you'll just be driving, and all of a sudden you'll I mean, they just start going off. You slam on the brakes, and then he'll go out, let one go, and if that dog, starts hauling down that trail, just bellowing the whole way, we call it dropping the box. So I mean, you unleash the hounds, dude, and 8 hounds take off running full tilt after. And sometimes, if it's a bear in like a box canyon, that that bear is just gonna run in the spring bears will run 20 miles, like 20, 30 miles, and just running dogs all around. So a lot of the times, you'll drop half of your dogs in your box, and then when you see, like, they have Garmin track, there's a lot of technology that goes into this, but they all
Really?
have
They all have
GPS rate.
trackers and everything?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
they get GPS radio collars, and the new Garmin stuff that you can see, like, it'll tell you barks per minute. It'll tell you the speed of how fast that dog's running. And it can actually identify when a dog has a bear treed. Like, if they're not moving and their head is tilted up and they're barking up into the tree, it will
Right.
mark treed on the Garmin GPS for all the dog. And once you see all your dogs are saying treed, it's like, hey, that bear's in the tree. We got to go.
Right.
But I mean, when you get to see it in action, like, you'll see they'll drop 4 dogs, and you'll just see if it's open hillsides, I mean, you'll see the bear out in front of the dogs running when they
Yeah.
catch up to it, and then, oh, here comes the bear again, going the other way. And I've been like in a side by side sitting there, and you can hear these dogs running this bear up the drainage, and you get a client ready just watching the road, and it's like, as soon as that bear steps out, crack it. And I've been there where a bear runs not even 50 yards from us, and the dogs are right on it coming behind it. But a lot of people will say that dog hunting is quote unquote unethical. In my opinion, I don't think it's unethical, because it's actually more of an ethical means of take than baiting. Because when you're baiting,
Sure.
we have an idea of what bears are coming in, and we can give you an idea, but it's really up to the hunter to decide, is this bear a mature bear? Is it an immature bear? Is it a sow? Is it a boar? Is it big enough that I want to get that animal? Well,
Hmm.
with hound hunting, you can release the hounds, and I mean, these hounds can run this bear all day long, get it into a tree. You can go hiking to the tree with the client. As soon as you get there, hey, that bear is only about 120, 130 pounds. Let's pass it. You pull the dogs off the tree and you leave the bear there. And the bear comes out of the tree naturally and goes back to whatever it was doing.
Does its thing. They
Mhm.
do they travel in packs a lot? Like, how do you is singulate the correct word? Like, how do you like, separate them from the
So
rest of their
it
crew,
it
for
really
lack of a better
depends
term?
if it's a sow and cubs. Like,
Okay,
if you get a
sure.
sow and cubs, sows will usually keep their cubs for 2 years. So they'll stay in a family unit for about 2 years until they kick them off,
Right.
and then they go to their own. Most of the time, like, if you drop the box on a sow and cubs, most of the time they'll tree one of the cubs, and then all the dogs will hang on that tree, and the sow and the other cub will go off somewhere else. And in Idaho, you're not allowed to kill a sow with cubs. So
Sure.
uh, you'll get up to the tree and see, okay, there's a cub up there, there's a cub over in that tree. The sow's got to be somewhere around here. Let's pull the dogs off and go back. And what we're
Right.
looking for most of the time is, big mature boars, 250, 300 plus pound bears that
Big
when you get
boys.
up to them,
Oh
you can
yeah.
tell right away. It's like, that's a shooter.
Yeah. So elk, mountain lion, bear. Anything else that you guys hunt? We haven't gotten to fishing yet. We'll get there, but is that
We
pretty much?
do.
You said turkey too, I think.
Yeah, I did a little bit of turkey in 2023, and then I shot my own turkey. But my buddy Sam, that's actually he lives or used to live right over by Cedar Crest.
Uh huh.
Uh, he actually works with me out here. We met each other working for this outfit, and found out that we only
No
live
way.
15 minutes down the road from each other. I'm like, well, that's kind of
Small
cool.
world, man.
Mr. Reedy is the one who got me the job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you about that, but yeah, Sean Reedy's dad,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he uh he so this is getting to Pennsylvania, but do you know the Delachess in PA? Have you ever heard of the
Mm-mm.
Delachess? So out in Lawn, you know where Lawn is?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a fishing and hunting club back there called the Delaware Chesapeake Bay Fishermen's Association,
Gotcha.
and it's supposed to be Delaware River Chesapeake Bay. But my
Hmm.
great grandfather helped found it back in, I think it was like '58,
No
and
way.
well, there's
That's
two
cool.
guys that are from Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania that belong to that club and know Sean Reedy real well. Well, they've worked at the outfit that I currently work at for
Uh-huh.
38 years.
Wow.
So when Mr. Reedy found out that I was going to be going to guide school, he let them know that, hey, this guy from Palmyra that, is friends with my son, grew up with my son, is going
Right.
to be going out to Montana. And they offered me a job on the spot. So,
I
and
bet
then
you
I
it's
got,
really difficult from a business perspective. I bet you it's hard as shit to get quality guides out there that know what they're doing, that have passion, like it sounds like you do, and want to be there and lead experiences, man. Like, yeah,
it truly
that's
is.
so exciting. Yeah, love
But
that.
it's what's really cool about it is like, of being from, I lived in Pennsylvania for 24 years. So it was,
Right.
to come out here and still have, like, I work with my one buddy, his wife is from Lidditz. My one cook, he's from Elizabethtown. The two guides that are out here, they're both from Elizabethtown. And then my buddy Sam, he started the exact same time I did, and we didn't know each other. And then he came out of the
That's
backcountry
wild.
camp, and he's like, I heard you're from Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, where in Hershey? Like, when he said that, I realized, I'm like, okay, this guy knows. I said
Yeah,
Palmyra, and he goes, I live down the street from Cedar Crest. And I went, oh my God, dude.
that's crazy. That's
But
crazy.
but we
Yeah,
getting back to what you asked, I do whitetail and mule deer yet. And the
gotcha.
whitetail hunting out here, dude, is like, I don't want to, give it away, but the whitetail hunting out here is ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. And I don't want to say it's my favorite season because elk bugling in the rut during September, that's my favorite
sure.
season. But I'm a PA boy. I've hunted whitetail my whole life. And
Right.
the way that you can hunt whitetail out here is spot and stalking and glassing. So you're looking at
Oh,
deer from 1,000 yards away, and you're looking and you're seeing 30 bucks a day.
that's
So
craziness.
you kind of have your pick of the litter, and then like you'll pick out a buck and go, all right, well, let's move into position to go over and get a shot at him. And you get it down to you'll get down to 300, 200 yards away from this deer and take a cross canyon shot. And it's almost like hunting mule deer, but it's hunting big whitetail.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
it's the whitetail and mule deer hunting. I don't do too much mule deer. I did a couple
Okay.
years ago, but mule deer is I don't want to say I feel bad for them when I'm hunting them, but
Hmm.
we hunt muleys in the rut with a rifle because that's the season. And when you're
Sure.
hunting mule deer in the rut, they are so stupid because they hook up with does, and then you'll walk 50 yards from them, and they're just looking at you. They
They're
could
just
care
standing
less
there.
that you're there. Yeah, they could care less that you're there, and it's like it almost made me feel bad because I was like, dude, you
Sure.
shouldn't be able to walk 50 yards from a deer and then just kind of look at you like,
Right.
oh, what are you doing? And then get dropped. But the whitetail, you're hunting them in the rut as well, but they're much more finicky. They're a lot more, they'll spook a lot
Right.
easier. So it's a
Right.
lot harder to get on a big whitetail.
Right. It just sounds like it's just not as much sport as as all the other hunts are. You
Yeah.
know, it's not as difficult. I hear that. But is there
And
any reason why people choose to hunt mule deer over whitetail? Is the meat better or something like that?
so
Would you
mule
say?
deer are bigger than whitetail, and they're
Mm,
also considered more of a trophy for the West. So whitetail are, I don't want to say they're considered invaders, but whitetail are not a natural occurring thing in the West. They weren't. They moved their way across North America,
mm-hmm.
and when they got to the West, now like certain states they have restrictions on whitetail, but like in Idaho, I mean, they give out a lot of whitetail tags. And it's more because whitetail are actually affecting the mule deer population where they're interbreeding and they're
Yeah.
making it not pure anymore. And if it's not pure, for a lot of guys that are very traditionalist, they cannot stand seeing a mule deer with a whitetail rack on it because they
Hmm.
know that there was a hybridization somewhere that, and that's not good for mule deer in general because the mule deer population, like in 2017, we had a 70% die off of our mule deer herd.
Wow. Wow.
They had a horrible winter out here that it was
Hmm.
the entire winter was just it destroyed everything. It destroyed the pronghorn population, it destroyed the mule deer population, and the whitetail are a little bit more resilient than mule deer. So they have a lot more that they can feed off of, whereas mule deer are
Hmm.
very particular about their feed. Well, now the whitetail are invading the mule deer feed. So
Right.
they're taking
Right.
away valuable resources, and people would
Yep.
much rather shoot a trophy mule deer buck in Idaho because that's what you see on magazines, that's what you see on
Hmm.
calendars. That's like somebody standing there with a big old buck, and most people
Sure.
don't want to come out here and see some guy standing with a big whitetail buck in mule deer country because then it's just telling you that the mule deer are on the decline and the whitetail are on the
Hmm.
incline.
Sure.
But I can show you a couple years ago. My second buck that I guided for here, we actually, it was a mule deer whitetail hybrid, but it was a
Oh yeah.
whitetail that had mule deer genetics in him, and you can tell by the rack on him. I don't know if you can see
That's
that
cool.
deer,
Yeah.
but most of the
I
time a
wouldn't know the
whitetail,
difference, but
well, he's the one thing is he's gray, which
uh
whitetail should not be gray, and
sure.
he has whitetail have very much so of a curved rack when they come out. Like their bases will come up and then they'll curve out. Mule
Uh
deer have very much of their bases will come up and then go like a box rack. So
Gotcha.
it's a lot more angles, and then mule deer will have forks. They'll have like
Uh-huh.
they call them, instead of like what you and I would call an 8 pointer, a 4x4. They
Right.
call a mule deer a 4 point because it's got two sets of hooks on both sides.
Gotcha. Okay. Very interesting.
Mhm.
Huh. So that, yeah, it's trophy animal, I guess. That's what the money's is at.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
of people they just want to get a purebred mule deer.
right.
They don't want to a whitetail. A whitetail is really cool. Like I love whitetail hunting. I would prefer to shoot a whitetail any day of the week. But the guys that that are coming from Pennsylvania that want to go on a mule deer hunt and they
Right.
start seeing the population of mule deer is just kind of going down and
Hmm.
down and down, and the whitetail is climbing up and up and up. They feel as though then they start going to states like Utah, Montana. Wyoming has really good mule deer. Nebraska has
Hmm.
good mule deer. There's other states where whitetail haven't invaded them as bad, and if they have, they really knock them off. Like in Montana, whitetail is people shoot the ever living hell out of whitetail just so that
Yeah.
they can keep a good mule deer population.
Hmm. I didn't know it was
But
that sought after. I guess it makes sense though. Really does. And then the efforts taken to kind of preserve that gene pool.
oh yeah, they
Um,
just want to make sure it stays pure.
right, right. One final question about the hunting aspect, the expeditions camp. How does that work? Where are you at on like survival level? Because like obviously you can only pack so much on mules going in. So I'm assuming you kind of got to forage for some shit, set up tents, basic necessities, the loo, shit like that. So what? Yeah, give me an idea what that's like. I'm very interested to know.
So our camp setup usually takes we'll usually start like for I'll use elk season as an example
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's when we're doing our big packing camps. But
gotcha.
we'll usually start August in between August 8th and August 12th. And the season we only start hunting September 6th. So we'll get to our base ranch. We'll gather up all the livestock that we're going to use, and most of the time we take about 20 to 25 head of livestock with us up to our wilderness lodge, and then from there, we'll get all basic necessities for camp gear. Where we have a guide tent, a client tent, and a cook tent most of the time. So you'll have two 14 by 16 wall tents and
Uh
then a
huh.
16 by 20 wall tent. And how we like to set it up is So we'll pack in dish boxes with all like everything that a cook could possibly need in a dish box when it comes to, coffee pots, utensils, cups,
Sure.
plates, silverware, whatever. Um, and then we pack in our dry goods in dry boxes. So we'll bring in like all different types of cakes, like the little,
Rice
uh,
cakes or whatever.
yeah, well, like cake in a box, like something that you can just dump
Oh
in.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, make brownies, make like all different types
Oh,
of
the
stuff.
Betty Crocker shit. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I got
oh
you.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then all of our canned goods, our bread and everything, and we try to pack in our food last, just because if we end up leaving the camp, we have to, make sure that there's nothing for the bears to get, because bears will come in and rip our tents apart.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then a big aspect that people don't realize, like a lot of the times when clients will get to camp, they don't realize how much shit we pack in there. And then they get there and they go, "You guys put all of this crap on mules and brought it in here?" And like we pack in a full size apartment stove.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, like
You
a
assemble it?
propane. Well, no, you friggin' throw it whole on the side of a mule. As long as it's under 100 pounds, dude. I mean, our cook tent weighs 96 pounds, and the stove that we usually pack in weighs about 102, 103. So
Right.
it balances pretty good. And we use his name's Booger, but Booger is our stove mule. He's the biggest mule
Stove
that we
guy.
have, and he gets to take in every stove to every camp. But we pack in, wood stoves, cots, sleeping pads. We pack in all the necessary stuff for horses. Like we pack in high lines. Our shitter, we kind of have to build when we're out there. So we get they make like camp shitters that you can use. But
Hmm.
what else? We usually pack in hose because we'll run a gravity fed system from the creek to the back of the cook tent, and then put
Nice.
a I can't even tell.
Reverse osmosis filter on it.
We actually
Or
don't
what?
filter the water.
Oh, it's
It's
just that good.
it's clean enough that you can, dude, you can put
Spring
your water
water.
bottle in the stream and drink right out of it. I mean, and you'll never get
Oh,
sick.
I'm so
I,
jealous, dude. Our water here sucks.
oh yeah, well, I still filter, like I carry what's called a grail. They call it the Holy Grail, but it's a
Yeah,
water
what's
bottle
that?
with a charcoal. It's a charcoal filter water bottle, so it's got a charcoal filter on the bottom, and it's just a press bottle. So you'll fill up the bottom end of it and then push the water through, and it pops up. Grail, it's spelled Grayl. But those come in incredibly handy in the backcountry if you're ever low on water. Like you can get water from almost any water source, regardless of how dirty it is, and it'll filter out 99.9% of the bacteria.
Okay, well, I might need to just buy one of these. How often does it last? How long does the like
Uh,
each cartridge last?
I think it's like 1 to 2,000 presses per cartridge, or like
And that
800 to
purifies the
1,200.
whole. That purifies the whole, or is it just a drink, like a sip? I guess is what I'm trying to
Oh, it
ask.
purifies. It's like 14 or 16 ounces of water, pure water
Gotcha.
bottle.
Okay, dude,
Yeah.
that's so neat. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're expensive and probably rightfully so. I mean,
Well, they make a
90, 100.
titanium one now that's like $200 that
Yep.
you can put it over the fire and boil your water inside of it now. I just have the plastic one. I'm not bougie like that.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. So the purifier cartridges are 25 or 30, and you said 2,000 fill-ups. That's
Yeah, I
wild.
think
That's
it's
so
something
worth
like
it.
that. Oh, it's definitely worth. If I've ever had like water I was questionable on, and most of
Yeah,
the time, like in every creek drainage that you're in back there, you have fresh natural spring water coming off. You just have to find it. And
sure.
if you find fresh running water, it's usually only about it's 45, 50 degrees, and it's ice cold when you're drinking, and
Oh
it's amazing.
man.
But
What I wouldn't do for a nice sip of
oh,
that
dude, the
water.
minerals in it too are so good for you. Like people don't. I've had clients tell me straight up and down, I have kids at home and I will not drink that water. And I look at them and I go, watch this. And I put my water bottle under it and I chug the water. And it's like nothing happened to me. I didn't fall over dead. I promise you, you're gonna be okay. You might get
Now,
sick from it, if
how do you
anything.
how do you determine if it's like spring water versus a dirtier stream? I guess.
If it's at the bottom of a valley, like mainline creeks, you probably it's iffy if you want to drink out of them. Like Boulder Creek is our mainline creek, and then
Hmm.
you'll have if you have water running off of the mountain, like down to the mainline creek, 9 times out of 10 that water is natural spring water.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and as long as it's not fast flowing, but oxygenated water too is another thing that you're looking for, like white bubbles coming down through. If you've
Yeah,
got white bubbly water, it's safe to drink.
right.
But
Very
and then
cool.
other than that stuff, I mean, we pack in all the client gear, but people don't
Right, sure.
realize that we pack in hay. So each camp per season, we usually have to pack in 90 bales per camp. And if we're like you
Is that for
start
the
doing
animals to eat?
yeah, yep, that's for the animals to eat. It's for their feed. And you can some
90
camps
bales?
yeah per camp.
That
So if
seems
you
like a
were
lot.
oh dude, it's well we you have to do math on it where it's like, okay, so if you're doing 21 days of hunting, like you're gonna be in there for 21 days, each bale will feed 3 animals. So if you've got 12 animals, you're going through 4 bales a night. So
Hmm.
you start going 4 times 21, you're gonna get all the way up to what is that, 84? So,
84,
and
yeah.
usually they'll have us just pack in a little bit extra, but that usually, if we're packing in 12 mules and we have to pack in 90 bales, we have to kind of do the math on how long that's gonna take us, like per trip. So it's
Yeah,
if we got 12 mules we can pack, we can take 24 bales in a trip. It's going to take us 4 trips. It'll take us 4 trips to get 90 bales in, and that's
right,
4 days of riding 8, 9 hours a day, plus 3 hours of packing. Getting animals
right.
saddled, and you do one camp, and now you got to go over and do the next camp
Go do
and
the
get
next one.
90
Oh,
bales into
yeah.
that. Most of the time, we'll break off three and two. So like three guys will
Yeah,
go one way, two guys will go the other way, and our camps are spaced out by about 10, 15 miles.
gotcha. So my question is going to be, you said 21 days. What's the longest trek that you've been out there for? Is it 3 weeks?
Yeah,
I- you said the hunting is like 6 days a piece. So explain
yeah.
to me the trips.
So you'll do the pack in day, 6 days of hunting, and then pack out day. And our pack out day is
Uh-huh.
technically our day off as well. So when you get back, like we try and load people up first thing in the morning and get them out of camp. And
Right.
that way, like us as guides, we have time to, go do laundry, go pay bills, go make phone calls to family, whatever we got to do.
Sure.
Go get gear if it's necessary, like if you have to run to actual town. And town for us is 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wait.
so
Okay.
those
So what can't you get where you're at versus you have to go to the town for?
so like we don't have them in Pennsylvania or on the East Coast, but North 40 Outfitters, that's
Okay.
like it's ranching, outdoors, and
Nice.
horseback and everything like that, like everything you would need for saddles and stuff like that.
Sure.
Um, I compare it to like a town with a Walmart is what I usually say. If it has a
Yeah.
Walmart, that's a big town. And like for me to drive from Wilderness Gateway, where our Wilderness Lodge is, to what's called Kamei is that's 60 miles of highway that you're running until you get to Kamei. And in
Hmm.
Kamei, you can get, if you got to get Zinn, if you got to get groceries, just basic supplies like
Right.
fire sticks, knives, whatever you need, knife sharpeners, headlamps, batteries, whatever. You can
Yeah.
go to Kamei. Now, from Kamei, from Kamei to Lewiston, which Lewiston is like big town. Lewiston is about 140, 130 miles from us.
Jeez.
So we have to drive 130 miles to, go get our gear. And if we go the other way, I'm sure you've heard of Missoula, Montana.
Yeah, I think so.
So Missoula is where Montana, I think that's Montana State is based out of, like
Gotcha.
college.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Missoula is also 2.5 hours. So
Either
you're
way.
like, you either turn left or right, and you got 2.5 hours of driving ahead of you before you even make it to a mainline town. And it gets crazy because if you get out of wilderness later in the day. Like you'll get back probably if it's 3.5 hours out from our one packing camp called Horse Camp, and you leave,
Mhm.
at 9, you'll get back at 1, and by the time you're back, then you have to unsaddle 12
Yep.
animals, 16 animals, however many you have.
Sure.
Get all them put away, make sure they're fed, make sure everybody's good, like check all the animals for sores, for any types of injury, any types of malnourishment, like anything going on. Um, and then you kick them back, and usually it's about 2:30, 3 o'clock by the time you're done with that. And then you're already beat down from a
Oh
day
yeah.
riding 4 hours, and it's like now I got to drive 2.5 hours to go, buy hiking sticks. Like it gets ridiculous. So I mean, you're
Oh,
already
I'm
at
sure.
6 o'clock. You turn to go down to Lewiston. You don't get to Lewiston to 5:30, 6 o'clock. You'll get
Uh,
there. The store closes at 7. You go in, you get your stuff, and then you got to drive 2.5 hours
two and a
back.
half hours right back.
Well, most of the time too, we end up stopping to do laundry, so we're out until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and
Right.
then we roll back into camp at 8 o'clock in the morning. Clients are there, ready to
Gotta be
go in
ready
for
to
their,
go.
and it's like, oh my gosh! And now this year, we do fly-in camps as well. So,
Okay. What's that?
a fly-in camp is where, so for me, I have to ride 9.5 hours to get to the camp. The clients get to fly in a plane. So they land in an airstrip 21 miles from the trailhead. And then sometimes, they'll land at the airstrip. And then from that airstrip, it's still a 2.5 hour ride to camp. So people don't like, we have just over 500 square miles that we can hunt.
Really?
Yeah. And we're the only outfit licensed to hunt that area.
Hunting that
So
location.
we don't
That's
have to
neat.
worry. It's all public land, all of it.
Mm,
So the general public can go out and hunt wherever they want. But the thing is that access is a huge thing. And if you
sure.
don't livestock, if you don't have like the ability to get dropped off by a plane at a flying camp
Right.
or something, you can't get back into the country that we're in. And it's just too hard. And most people,
Yeah.
like the public land guys, like for the mainline trail that I run, Boulder Creek Trail, um, you climb the first 45 minutes of it, you climb 2,000 feet in elevation. And most people do not want to do that, especially if they're carrying their entire camp on their back.
Right. Yeah. Hell no.
It, the elk, you don't start getting into elk until you get 2.5 hours back from the trailhead.
Right.
So
Right.
people just won't do. They'll see us come riding by on horses, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I hope you guys have fun. I'll catch up with you." And most of the time, I've only ran into two public land hunters the entire time I've worked back here,
That's
and
crazy.
that's we're talking about miles and miles and miles of wilderness
Yeah.
that it's all open country to whoever wants to hunt it. And people ask us all the time, they're like, how do you guys get into elk back here? And it's like, well, we have the access to be able to hop on a horse and ride to the top of a mountain versus
Yeah.
have to hike up that son of a bitch.
Right. Right. You have the infrastructure there, at the lodge, at the camp. So that was going to be my next question. Food. Do you guys have like a delivery system? You get like all these basic necessities? Because you said it's a small town. Do you process your own meat? How does that work?
So my outfit, my boss, him and his girlfriend most of the time do the grocery shopping for us, and like
Gotcha.
we spend, I can't tell you the number, but it's in the six figures for groceries in a year.
Oh, sure. I believe it.
And a lot of the times, what they'll do is like, so we keep an inventory of we just stock up on everything, on chicken thighs, chicken thighs, burger, uh, pork chops, pork loin, like all different types of stuff, and we keep it frozen in a chest freezer, and then we divvy it out to camps. Because what this is the other thing is, so Boulder Creek Outfitters has been around since 1978, and
Uh,
we're the second largest outfit in the lower 48, the largest outfit in Idaho. So
wow.
the same time that we're running, like in October, we're running 3 different operations out of the same company. And
Mm-hmm.
one of those operations is taking 30 hunters a week. One of the other one's taking 8 hunters a week, and then the other one is also taking 8 hunters a week. So we got wilderness and
Wow.
2 ranches. So they try and divvy up groceries between all of us and like make sure that everybody gets stocked on everything that you need. Each week we send out a grocery
Absolutely.
list, and then they'll bring in coolers full of fresh produce, all of our meat, all of our, all of our dry goods if we need to be restocked on dry goods like canned
Mm-hmm.
goods, whatever. And then we just load up the coolers on mules and take a cooler. And each week we'll just bring the coolers right back out, give them our empty coolers. They'll give us a
Yep.
fresh cooler. And the next morning we go right back in with them.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
Efficient system, it sounds like.
it's pretty efficient. And then, like if you ever at the ranches, it's nice because if you ever are short on something and we don't have it, we can always send someone to the grocery store to go and pick it up. But in the wilderness, if you get shorted on something like at the this year, I'll be at a fly-in camp. So I'll go in at the beginning of September and I will not come back out until the end of September.
Oh
So
wow. So you'll be there a whole month.
yep. And each
That's
week
cool.
they're running your groceries in on the plane with the clients and the client gear. So you have to make sure that you know exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're shorted, oh, they ain't gonna fly a plane back in there to give you 10 pounds of burger.
Right.
So
Hell no.
yeah, you have to make sure you're on top of it. But
Yeah.
uh, and the cooks are really good about portioning stuff out too. Like we get a lot of food, so they're able to make full hearty meals every single night and have food and excess left over at the end of the week. If we have extras from like say they make chicken thighs one night, the next day for lunch you can make shredded chicken sandwiches or something or chicken salad.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
But they try and make do with just whatever they have. But uh, yeah, the groceries can get interesting sometimes.
Oh, I'm sure. I guess clients probably bring specific things for themselves, but have you had any like unusual requests or anything like that?
Oh, I had a guy offer me $1,000 to go to town and get him a bottle of whiskey. He told me straight up, he could pay you $1,000 right now to ride out of here in the middle of the night and go get me a bottle of whiskey. And I told him, I was like, I don't know if I can do that, dude. Yeah, I mean, I would have been riding 8 hours overnight to
Right.
go get a bottle of whiskey, but $1,000 is $1,000.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of the time, we get guys that'll ask about like, fruit snacks. What's a weird one that I had? I'm trying to think. There's guys that like the guides will keep a snack stash in our tent. A lot of the
uh,
times, like if we come out with a tasty cake or something, you'll see one of the guys' eyes just lock on you, and they're like, "So where'd you get that?"
yeah.
But no, they want us to share, and we do. It's not like we don't, because when you're back there, sugar and calories, like they are a commodity. So you need to make sure you have a something to give you a boost during the day. But
Sure.
we always try and make sure. I haven't had clients really ask for anything out of the ordinary besides beer and whiskey. That's always what they want to bring in.
Do you not bring any alcohol?
Me personally, like I occasionally bring a 6 pack of beer into camp, but
Sure.
I was we don't really like the guides drinking in camp because it's
Yeah.
we're
Understandable.
responsible for lives. So
Right.
and making sure everybody gets in and out of there safe. We're responsible for all the horses. So I let the clients like if they want to drink at dinner, just don't be hung over the next morning. But I don't have a problem with them drinking as long as they don't push it.
Right. Yeah. No. So before I want to kind of transition to fishing in a second, and then we can wrap it up. But before we do so, any unusual experiences? Have you had any encounters with like? I was watching that show Alone. I think it was on the one on Netflix after the guy went on Rogan's podcast. And what was it? He killed a wolverine with like a knife or something during the night. So that made me think of like asking that question. Have you encountered any strange animals or anything like that during a night trip or like at camp? Like I'm sure there's shit around you all the time, 100%. But like anything that stands out.
So I do. I have one thing that stands out from last year during our bear camp.
Uh,
I was with a dude from North Carolina, and he was his name is Brandon. He's a guide for us, and
uh,
Brandon knows how to call owls really well. And he told me, he's like, "Oh, dude, this was a party trick I used to use on girls all the time." He goes, "Watch this." And we're standing. It was just me and him in camp, and we
uh,
were putting up our. So there's kind of two different instances that happened at the exact same time that were both freaky because I had never
yeah,
experienced either one. Um, Brandon and we were in charge of setting up our own camp. The other pack-in camp was doing their stuff. We had to do our own stuff. So we got up to camp and we had everything sorted out, and we didn't have a shelter yet. So we
uh,
were building our guide tent. And the way that so in the wilderness you cannot use chainsaws. You can't use any type of electric saw. It's all crosscuts and axes.
really, is there a reason for that, or just like the authenticity of it?
It's really the authenticity of it, but they want to maintain so the noise pollution is one thing they don't like, and then sparks flying
Sure.
off of chainsaws in a wildfire area.
Yep.
They don't want us doing it. And they also they like to keep it as natural and pristine as possible because in designated wilderness
Understandable.
areas, you're not even allowed to have an electric toothbrush in camp
Wow.
because technically it's a machine, and a
Right.
machine is they're not cool with that. Forest Service will come and check our stuff, but so we have to build our own tent frames. So when we build that, like we have to cut what we call jacks and then a ridge pole, and the jacks sit kind of crossways, and then
Hmm.
the ridge pole goes right down the middle, and there's a hole through the tent that you pull the tent over the ridge pole, and then you'll
Uh,
stand up both sides and get them to where, it's a good framed wall tent and it looks good and
right.
tight lines, crisp. Well, Brandon and we didn't have like the camp that we were in had not been used for 10 years. So
Wow.
all of the stuff that was there was all rotted.
Yeah, sure.
So
Absolutely.
we we had to build our own stuff. So me and Brandon are sitting there sawing, trying to get, limbs and everything cut out so we can make our jacks. Well, we finally got the tent frame set up, and then you have to build tent poles for around the sides, and they all have to be a very specific height. And
Uh,
then you pull the tent lines down, and it'll stretch the roof nice and tight so it all looks crisp. It's supposed to look like an army tent, is what it's
uh,
supposed to look like. We're standing there, going back and forth sawing, and then we started pounding in the stakes for the tent poles, and all of a sudden, and it was getting dark, like it was probably about 40 minutes until dark,
uh.
and all of a sudden a mountain lion starts screaming about 150 yards up above us on the ridge, like just above our camp.
Oh
And
wow.
I had a hammer that I was about to hit this pole into the ground, and I stopped and looked up, and Brandy goes, "Yeah, that's a mountain lion." And I went, "All right, we should probably hurry up on this." So we start freaking banging and poles in. Well, the mountain lion went off. She was screaming. Now their breeding season is in June, so a lot of the times that's when you'll hear them scream. Um, she was screaming for probably 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that, and then
Uh,
it stopped. And we were like, okay, well, let's get this freaking tent up quick. Well, all of a sudden, now she's behind us,
oh
like
no.
50 yards closer. So she
Uh-oh.
was up here and now she's back here. And she
Yeah.
starts screaming again. And I look at Brandon, I'm like, dude, we gotta create a shelter so we can at least have four walls around us and not be face to face with his cat. So she screamed for about another 5 minutes, and then everything went silent. And me and Brandon kind of looked at each other, and it was like an eerie silence. It wasn't like, all the
Yeah.
birds stopped singing in the woods, like, and we just kind of got freaked out. So now we're walking around camp with pistols out, with headlamps, just looking for eyes coming through camp.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, we hear an owl hoot off in the distance. And that was when Brandon turns to me, he goes, "You want to see something cool?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "Watch this." So he starts hooting back and forth with this owl. This owl ended up coming all the way in, and there was a tree right above our tent. The owl landed there, starts going off, and doing all different types of stuff, like making weird
Yeah.
noise. All of a sudden, we have six great horned owls in this tree.
Wow.
Just and I could play the sound for you if you want to hear it, but I've never heard owls make this noise before. They were they sounded like monkeys, dude.
Really?
Like, I mean, here, let me find it's right here, but they
Yeah, if you
sounded
can
like
find it.
it was the craziest sound that I've ever heard in my life. And Brandon had them going off for probably 20, 25 minutes or something like that. Here,
Owls are super interesting animals too, man.
and the fact that they were all great horned. I didn't even know
Yeah.
Idaho had great horned owls. And I mean, they were loud, dude.
Probably huge too.
So this is him. You'll hear it in a
Uh,
second. This is him. And then all of them start going off together. Did you hear that all right?
I couldn't hear the middle to the second half.
Okay, here, let me see if I can get it more. I'm trying to figure out.
It's all good. If you send me the clip, I can just take the MP3 out and put it in when we were listening 20
I'll send
seconds
it
ago.
to you.
I'll
But
make
yeah,
a note
it
to
was,
do that.
dude, it was the freakiest noise I had ever heard in my life. And then, we're sitting there and they just kept going
Yeah.
and going and going. And then all of a sudden, all of them stopped at the same time and none of them made another noise for the rest of the night.
And that was it.
And we kind of sat there, and clients were in camp for that too. And they, they even said to us, they were like, so what, because I think that actually no, they weren't in camp because that was June 7th and we didn't get clients till June 9th. But yeah, we just had, and then later on in the year, the mountain lion ended up coming back, and I had her 15 yards from me, and she was a big cat. But
Wow.
we were packing up camp, and I was throwing bread to, we were getting rid of some of the extra bread that we had. There's a brush pile like 15 yards from our cook tent, and I threw a piece of bread, and it hit the top of the brush pile, and all I saw was eyes and a nose come right up over the brush pile, and I kind of stopped and reached down for my pistol, and Brandon, he turns around and looks, and he sees this cat take off, and he freaked
Yeah.
out. He was like, "Dude, what are you even?" But yeah, those were the freakiest experiences that I had. Other than I walked up on a wounded bear last year with no pistol, and I thought I
Yikes.
had a pistol on me. I didn't have a pistol, and I reached
Oh
down,
no.
went to draw, and realized I don't have anything, and I'm standing 10 yards from a bear that's ready to kill me.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I took off running for my horse. I got back to my horse, had to ride back to camp, grab a rifle and my pistol, turn around, ride back out to the bear, find it again, and shoot it. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
That is wild. Dude. Oh man. Oh man. Well, I can't wait to hear this season's stories. Before we go, I want to know about the fishing out there. You sent me a picture of a huge trout today. What's that like? You said you're learning to fly fish. Do you get to frequent a boat at all? Do you get to like go out any standing bodies of water, or is it a lot of creeks and
So
like
out
streams?
here, um, and I go back to comparing everything to, what I was born and raised Pennsylvania.
Sure, absolutely.
A lot of people fish trout, fish smallmouth, fish catfish, whatever in Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Um, The difference out here is everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything is wild. Like
Yeah.
they don't have to stock trout out here. They don't have to stock, and they have all natural salmon runs. They have so they have sturgeon that you can catch in the snake, and the plethora of fish that you can catch like anywhere. You can go almost any river, any body of water, and you will catch fish because there
Yeah.
are a lot of fish there. So like what I for smallmouth a lot of the times so Dorshak Dam in Orofino, Idaho. If anybody ever listened, looked up Dorshak, that's one of the top smallmouth fisheries in the U.S. And you can go there and hammer, smallmouth, kokanee salmon, and kokanee salmon only get to about 10, 12 inches long, but they're
Uh,
some of the best eating fish that you will ever eat in your life. And they're landlocked sockeye salmon is what they are.
gotcha.
Uh, and then they have like in all the rivers out here, they have steelhead runs. They'll have like steelhead run in April, and steelhead are, I mean, you're catching 30, 40 inch sea run rainbow trout.
Wow.
So, and I mean, I've caught steelhead. My biggest steelhead was a 32 incher. So it's like and they
That's
get up.
massive.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, you'll hold them and when you're fighting them, they feel like you're fighting a freaking tuna because they're
Sure.
just and in the spring when the snow melt's happening and you're fighting both the fish and the current, it gets
Mm-hmm.
wild. And then, we have the Loxaw and the Selway rivers, which are up where I'm at. They come together at what's called Three Rivers to make the Clearwater. The Clearwater runs all the way down and dumps into the Snake. And the Snake River is, I believe, the longest flowing river in the U.S. It flows from where it enters from the Pacific in Washington and ends in Wyoming.
Wow.
And steelhead will run that whole stretch.
The entire
So
way.
yeah, and you'll fish for spring Chinook salmon, spring silver salmon, cutthroat rainbow trout, brook trout, lake trout. I mean, the list just goes on and on of just the amount of fish, and they
Dude.
have so many. They have bull trout out here. They have golden rainbow trout. Which golden rainbows are usually they have West Slope cutthroat, which are a very coveted species. Bull trout are an endangered trout species, and you can go out. It's all catch and release for them, but you can go out and catch 20, 21, 22-inch bull trout that
Wow.
are big and mean. And like where I'm at, I live in southern Idaho, so
Mm-hmm.
the snake. Now, what a lot of people also don't realize about Idaho is Hell's Canyon in Idaho is the deepest river gorge in America. It's deeper than the Grand Canyon.
Really?
From its bottom to its
Wow.
top, it's 10,000 feet.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
Grand Canyon is like 8,500 or something like that, I think.
and a lot of people don't like, you hear about Hell's Canyon. I don't know if you've ever heard of Hell's Canyon, but Hell's
I have
Canyon
not
is like,
actually.
dude, it's one of the coolest fisheries you will ever see in your life. Because I mean, you're up on top on flat, 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 and then it drops into the deepest river gorge you've ever freaking seen in your life. And the
Wow.
river that goes through, you can catch 9 foot, 1,000 pound sturgeon out of it. You can
Wow.
catch smallmouth, you can catch trout, you can catch big flathead catfish, big channel catfish, like, and then just where I'm at, just 5 minutes from my house is what's called the Boise River, and the Boise River is an excellent trout fishery, and it's all wild run trout. So that brown trout that I sent you today, that was my
Mhm.
personal best brown trout I've ever caught in my life. And
Nice.
it's like you can go out almost anywhere here, and even if you're a novice fisherman, like you don't have to know shit about dick out here, and you can go out
You
and
catch
catch
something.
fish, yeah, and just go have fun. Like outdoor recreation is such a big thing out here where everybody, like when I go out on the river, all I see are people floating the river, people jogging along the river, people fishing the river.
Yep.
And up where I'm at, like my buddy Sam and we fish for cutthroat all through the summer. Like in June and especially in August when we go up there, you catch cutthroat trout, and you're not allowed to keep them, but they're some of the prettiest trout you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah.
And it's just it's so different from like home. Like out here, it's very much so access based too. So when you're driving along a highway, like every quarter mile there's a pull off for
Yeah.
to hop
For
out and go
people to
fishing,
fish.
and people will camp out on the sides of the highways. Like steelhead season out here is freaking nuts. You
Wow.
just the highways are lined with people with rods in the water. I mean
That's so
and then they
cool.
run jet boats up, like fishing for steelhead out in jet boats. The Salmon River is a huge,
Hmm.
huge fishery for all different types of salmon, all different types of trout, smallmouth. Um, and it gets to a point where it's ridiculous because you could literally, like, I was in a backcountry camp 9.5 miles from the river, and there is a waterfall there that is a 70 to 80 foot waterfall that drops down,
Whoa.
and above that waterfall there is cutthroat trout, natural cutthroat trout that you're catching in the streams. And I just sit there and I go, how did they even get up here? because it's not plausible the fact that they are up there. But I was out
Yeah.
fishing with a fly rod with an elk hair caddisfly nymph, and I'm sitting there catching cutthroat 10, 12 inch cutthroat left and right, and it's like and then you go to the backcountry lakes where like I'm at, it's 16 miles to the backcountry lakes, and dude,
Uh-huh.
there's 20-inch trout swimming around in those lakes, and it's like you sit there and you go, how do these even get here? And it's birds carrying fish eggs and dropping fish eggs into the lakes.
That's crazy to think about
It's
how that
it,
propagates like that.
oh yeah,
Wow.
the natural ecosystem out here and how it supports itself,
Oh,
like
man.
it's something that you would have to see and experience to understand. Because like I always try and tell people, if you really want to experience Idaho, you got to come to Idaho, and
Sure.
you'll see why people love this state, and then keep it secret too. Like there's a lot of secrets in Idaho that the rest of the general public doesn't know about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whitetail being one of them, the fisheries being another, and just like the land access and the actual freedom that you have to go wherever you want. You got a
Hmm.
fishing license? Go fishing, dude. Go have fun. And we have Lake Ponderay up in northern Idaho. I would have to look at it, but I'm almost 100% sure. Lake Ponderay is one of, if not the deepest freshwater lake in North America.
Really?
They have submarines there.
That's
Like
crazy to think about.
and right above me, I have, Lake Cascade, and then I have Payette
Uh-huh.
Lake, and these are lakes that have like Lake Cascade has 81 miles of shoreline.
Wow.
Lane
That's
Lake has,
huge.
I think, 61 miles of shoreline separated into like 6 or 7 different chain lakes. Like,
Hmm.
and Coeur d'Alene Lake, where I go fishing for smallmouth with my buddy Brian, we'll go out in his boat and we'll hammer smallies all day long, catch 4 or 5 pound smallmouth. And,
Yeah.
you know, it, it kind of, the backdrop that you're fishing, like, you got the mountains all the way around you and you're
Hmm.
catching fish with, I don't want to say not a lot of effort put into it, but it's like I, anybody could go out and have the time of their life out here fishing if they wanted to. Like I just started fishing the Boise River, and I didn't know that it was the trout fishery that it is. So
Hmm.
if you know where to look for trout, you can go up, and like today, like I was on the phone with Vita and it was my first cast in, and I watched this brown come up off the bottom and hit this bait, and Vita told me my eyes looked like deer in headlights because I set the hook and went, holy shit.
Freaking out. Dude,
But
that's so cool. Yeah. I was gonna say
it's
that's
amazing.
something that like I feel like's underrated. I have not heard of Idaho being an outdoor recreation wildlife centric state. You know what I mean? That usually falls on like the Montana out west or a Colorado. And that's cool, man. Keep it that way. I feel like that the natural preservation and the people that really care are there, and you don't have like the outsiders of people that are like a good example is people that are flocking to Colorado and the large cities and stuff like that. Um, I think it's important for people that want to be there a ton to invest in the natural habitat and to be outside. I think it's most important that those people are the ones there. Very evident, that you made your way out there. Same with some people from Pennsylvania. But yeah, man, that sounds unbelievable compared to anything I've ever fished before. It's taken me a lot of effort and not a lot of success, even though I feel like I'm poor at it. But
Ah, no, it just takes a little bit of not really skill, more luck than anything.
I feel like it's a ton of knowledge too. Like I go out there with friggin' worms, bro, on my hook. You know what I mean? Like you got to know what different fish are looking for and where to fish, right? I feel like that's a lot of knowledge and depth, probably for over years of experience, as well as like you need to know people. Like you said, the Boise River, the trout fishery. Like if you had a buddy that was huge into trout fishing, he's like, yo, second day you're there, yo, check this out.
Yeah.
Then you're hooked in. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a lot of that too. And people like to keep their spots a little more secluded or private because they found a great area, things like
Oh
that.
yeah. Big thing is reading the water too. Like in your case, like if you know how to read water, where like you can find natural eddies, you can find natural slack water, deep pools where fish are gonna hole up. I mean,
Hmm.
that's like whenever I go out on the Boise River, I mean, it took me probably 5 days to kind of figure out like what spots I wanted to fish, and I was fishing the same
Yeah.
spots and wasn't catching any fish. And now I've gotten to the same spots again, and I'm figuring it out a little bit more. But with like trout fishing, like Virginia is an excellent trout fishing state. And if you can find, natural streams that come off a mountain, like you got to go kind of farther towards inner Virginia. But
Yes.
uh, a lot of it is just if you can look at water and know, hey, that looks fishy right there. There should be at least one trout holed up in this pool. And
Right.
if it's a deep pool, like that's what I was just bouncing this morning. I have a natural dam that comes across. It's just a rock dam, and
Hmm.
it's got good outflow. It's got a deep pool right underneath it, and it's multiple deep pools that are spread across the whole river. And then it's got good outflow pulling out the back end of it, so you can run. I use and you should use this if you get a chance to. Fire nets. They're called Potski fire nets for trout. You will, if
Uh-huh.
you have a little bit of fast running water, you will hammer trout doing it, just drifting it off the bottom and bouncing it down through. And that's how I fish for smallmouth. Is I'll use a Ned
Oh.
rig and I'll just bounce it down through a pool, and it might be 50, 60 casts until you get one to hit. But if you just keep after it, I mean, one will hit
Hmm.
eventually. But
Yeah. So
I don't have.
I'll be in Western Virginia. I'll be near Hot Springs on a spring river there. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, my buddy, who is my girlfriend's eldest sister's husband, they just got married recently. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Congrats.
he's a huge fisherman, and he's like, dude, I can't wait to get out there and go and camp and like fish this. And I'm like, dude,
Oh,
I'll come sit there with
cut
you
out a
and
little bit.
watch. Oh, did I cut out? I was like, well, do I got you back?
All right, cut out there. It looks like
That's
it
all right.
cut.
That's all right. I'll just cut it in the post. I was saying where did I cut off?
Right. He's a big trout fisherman or a big
Yes,
fisherman in general.
he's a huge fisherman in general, and we're going to this area in October or November-ish, and he's like, dude, this is the perfect river. I want to go fishing. I was like, can you bring an extra rod? Obviously, I don't have anything, and I don't know anything about fishing, but I would love to. So we're going to do that, and I'm very excited to do so. Like, and again, like back to the whole access thing, I feel like I don't know where to go. I don't have a kayak. I don't have a boat. I don't have, general knowledge of the land here. So it's just harder for me to kind of get involved in something like that. And that's a good and a bad barrier, I believe. I think that's good that not anybody can just go out and destroy public land by being a moron, you know, going fishing, right? Because I'm sure there are people that are drinking whatever, smashing glass bottles and not treating the land respectfully and going out and doing shit. I don't know how you could, killing the fish
Oh yeah,
maybe if
littering
it's
and
not a, if
polluting
it's
the
a,
river, doing
right.
all different
Yeah.
types of stuff.
And endangered species and catching protected fish and all that stuff. But
Have you
yeah,
ever
I
heard
mean,
of
it's
fish
just like
brain?
fish frame,
Fish brain, like
fish
brain in your head.
brain.
Yeah. So
Is it like an
look
app?
that up real quick. If that is, I use fish brain religiously just to get an idea of an area. And what
Oh,
people do is they log their catches at certain
yeah.
spots. And I don't want to say it's idiots logging there. I've never logged a catch on fish brain because I will never tell people where I fish. But
Yeah, no,
I will,
absolutely.
yeah, I will look at it and be like, okay,
Right.
well, obviously, they're catching trout out of this stream, so there's got to be trout upstream from there.
Gotta be something.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, that really gives you a general idea of where fish are in an area. And like if you have, it'll show you ponds, it'll show you streams, it'll show you lakes, whatever,
Yeah.
wherever you want to go. And if I always look, I'm like, oh, over 100 plus catches. Well, let's see what's going on over there.
Right. No, that's funny. No, that's a great recommendation because that reduces my barrier to entry. Because yeah, again, I wouldn't even know where to go. I'm sure there's plenty of great spaces. I'm right outside the city of Richmond, but yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of great spots to go do that. And I have people, that surround me that have fishing equipment. It's not like I'm devoid of that, where I could go to Walmart and I'm sure entry level kits aren't overly expensive. But I
No,
mean,
they're not.
as you get up into the specs of everything, I know it gets pricey, but yeah,
Oh, dude,
I don't know,
stick with the
man.
$60 setups. Don't ever let
Yeah,
somebody bargain you into buying a $200, $300 set. I'll tell you what, an ugly stick, the fishing rod, the ugly
yeah,
stick
yeah.
works
I
just
have
as
one.
good. Oh, that works just as good as any friggin' $500 rod, in my opinion. They all catch fish. It just
They all
depends on
catch
how
the
much
same
money you
fish.
want to spend.
Sure. Yeah, it's like for me, it's the golf club, bro. It's the golfer, not the club, or the bat,
Oh,
the baseball bat. It's always the bat. You
yep.
remember the stealths, bro? The Easton stealths back in the day. Those shits are unbelievable.
What was the one that was orange and white?
That
It
was the
started with
stealth.
that was the stealth? Okay.
That was the stealth. No, orange and white. I'm pretty sure there was a
It
blue
started
and
with an
white and an
M.
orange and white one. An M.
It wasn't a
Marucci, maybe.
Maverick.
Marucci.
No, it wasn't Marucci.
Uh,
It was everybody
um,
had. Sam Ziegler had one. I know Sam Ziegler had one, and I used that bat religiously. And so Caleb Vargo had one too, if you
he
remember
had one
Caleb
too.
Vargo.
And, oh, of course I
Oh,
remember Caleb. M. I remember like the DeMarini, the CF3. I had one of those. Um, Mizuno, maybe. Mizuno
hold
might have
on.
made a bat. Oh man, I can't remember.
Orange.
I can't remember.
It
I
was ridiculous.
remember. I remember Anthony Faiola gave us a red one for VPFW or VFW that one year, and we hit like 6 home runs with that one. That was a red Nike composite bat.
The
I
Mako.
remember the
Easton
Mako.
Mako. Yeah.
Yes, I remember the
The
Mako.
Mako. Those were so stupid, dude. I couldn't stay. It was a $500 bat and it wasn't even that good.
Oh, that was after they brought in BB Core after the
Hmm.
Beeser rules because I had 1 year of Beeser, or no, I didn't have any in high school, but I had 2 years I think in VFW, and then Legion was wood bat. So we bought like the guys that graduated just sold us their bats, but I remember like the combat virus when I was in like
Oh God.
little league. And then what was after that? The Anderson Texzilla. You remember that one? That's one that sounded like a steel beam when you like smacked it.
I remember
It
there
was
was
like,
one that was a drop five that I was like, dude, this is stupid. I mean, you didn't even have to hit the ball hard and it still sailed to right field all the way to the wall.
we need one of those, and we need to go to like the JV field over by the high school if that even exists anymore, and just pimp home runs. Get a
Oh,
little
dude, we can go
L
to the
net.
pool field. We can go to the pool field, hit them over the green monster in the pool field.
Yeah, it's like 200 feet. Like
Oh,
hit
I was
cars
laughing.
in the Palmyra pool
Somebody
parking
told
lot.
me that they would do that in the summer a couple of years back. They were like, "Oh yeah, we go and have home run derbies at the pool field." I'm like, "So you guys just built the houses across the way with baseballs? Like, what the heck, man?"
Yeah, bro, you must not be hitting it that far because it's literally like $180 to left field plus the
Oh
green
yeah,
monster. But like,
it's like nothing.
yeah,
I remember
it's like a
Bagel was hitting freaking dingers there when I was probably what in fourth grade. He was in
yeah,
fifth grade and he's hammering dingers over the green monster. I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
yeah. Kaz was a year older than me, and then I never played with. And Alex was like 4 or 5 years, in a couple years. I don't know that we ever crossed paths, but Kaz played baseball for a little bit.
Yeah. Are you talking about Casa?
No, Kaz Daly, Bagel's older brother.
See, I never played with Yeah, I only played with Bagel. I only knew Bagel because of Caleb Vargo. That's like I played on Discovery Junction in fourth grade
Dude,
with Caleb and Bagel.
oh my God, who was I talking to from Palmyra? We were trying to remember the all the teams because I played for Commerce Bank. We had Herbie's Jewelers. I know Click
Brecker,
Lewis had a team.
you had Brecker, Rothermells, Snapple,
Robert Mills. See,
who else?
Snapple wasn't my time. Snapple was after my time. They
So
changed that.
Snapple, it was members first before it was
That's
Snapple.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
We were
then
triple strength in majors.
I'm trying to, bro. It
That
was
team was
ridiculous because I played for Discovery Junction my first year of majors, and then my second year it was Breckert because it was Jonah. It was Jonah's dad. What is Jonah
yeah.
Hoy? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Jonah's dad. Oh, dude, those were the good old days.
Yeah, man. I remember. I can't remember. Was Discovery Junction minors or majors? Was that younger?
I was my last year of minors, I was in Discovery Junction, and then majors, it did 1 year. Oh no, I guess you're right. I was 2 years of minors for Discovery Junction and then 2 years at Breckert.
Yeah, yeah, because I was trying to think. I hit a home run off of Nick DiCarlo, and he was on Discovery Junction. It was on field number 2 at Forge, so the short right
Oh
porch.
yeah.
I hit it over the fence on my dad's birthday in like 2005 or whatever. And I
Oh,
remember, you probably weren't on that team yet. I don't think. Oh, that would have been hilarious. Or would you have been? I don't know. I can't
well, I
remember if it
can.
was my first or second year. It was nine, no, 9. I don't know. Whatever. I remember that.
Dude, that was a while ago. Well, I still remember when I was on JV my sophomore year, and you were 2 years ahead of me, right? Because you had Tommy John surgery, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I remember you showing us your Tommy John surgery. You showed us the video of it, and I was like, dude, I hope to God I never have to go through that. But you remember I'm trying to think who all was in that group. It was AJ, Chris Connell,
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Blatt. It was you. Who else was there? Braden Vernay. Who played Chris Good? That's who it was. But
CG. Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you remember when we did the warm up circle and we're like, all right, guys, we're just gonna, shake the fears out a little bit. Everybody go around and say your favorite.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
And then Anderson told me to say something, and I happened to say it.
Yeah. Oh my.
Those were the good old
Oh
days,
my.
dude. Well,
Goofy man.
you were a year ahead of me or 2 years ahead of me?
I think I was 2.
Because I
Tommy John
graduated in
was my senior
2018.
year. Yes, I was
Okay.
2016. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we'd have missed each other at Discovery Junction, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, you still had which coach when you finished out?
My dad coached all 4 years, but Bob DiCarlo was coach for majors at triple strength. And then it was my dad and who else was it? No, Tug was on my team at
Oh,
Commerce
really?
Bank.
No reality.
Yeah, yeah, Tug. That's how he got his
Oh,
nickname. Do you
God.
know that? The entire
I
town
didn't.
of Palmyra calls him Tug, and it's because of Commerce Bank. We were
Oh
minor
my
league
God.
baseball. Yeah,
Well, who
yep.
was you had coach in high school for your senior year? Who was your coach?
What's his face? The old heads that had retired and then unretired because the coach we had our freshman year went to Milton Hershey.
Yeah, you had Coach Kravich.
Yes, Kravich
John
was
Kravich.
awesome, bro.
Yeah.
He was awesome freshman year, and then he left.
Well, you had Kevin, I think it was Coach Kevin something. I can't remember what his last name was, but you weren't there for the Neil Weber era.
I was not. I left.
Oh,
Yeah, heard about
that was
that.
a fun time. Yeah, I had to stop playing I couldn't play my senior year because I in football I tore my labrum, so I had to quit
Mm.
pitching. I still have a
Uh,
torn labrum from that.
dude, I'm experiencing all kinds of shoulder issues. I do a ton of like stretches and stuff because
Oh,
I have poor posture anyway. Play a lot of video games, so I'm like constantly hunched over. But I have really weak rotator cuffs and labrums from baseball. You know,
yep,
overcompensation, taking
yep.
full Advil before the game, and then just throwing 140 pitches. Smart.
Dude, I still, if I like try and push myself up on something, my left shoulder will pop out of my socket.
Just
And
gives
I just
out.
remember back to senior year, like, should I have played football or should I have played baseball? I'm like, I'm glad I played football. I wanted to play baseball, but I'm glad I played football.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Oh,
think about on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. I have
sounds good, buddy.
a couple final comments. Number one, I have to come visit your ass, dude. That sounds like an
Hey,
unbelievable experience in terms of just existing there. Honestly, I would love to fish. I'd love to be the fly on the wall during elk mating season. That's just unbelievable, and I can't believe one person experiences all of that, man. It's such a cool, like, interesting perspective, and you have a great attitude about it, and I'm just like, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing all of that with me.
oh, heck yeah, dude. It's my pleasure, man. I wish I could get like I told you, I wish I could pull people out of Pennsylvania just for like 10 minutes.
Mm,
To be in my neck of the woods and kind of like like so one way of putting it is, people get stuck in a rhythm where,
Yep.
like dude, I worked at Domino's for 3 years after high school. Like I was a Domino's delivery driver, just kind of walking in circles in life, and I really
Mhm.
didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I was never gonna work an office job. I was like, I will not be
Yep.
white collar, and like I still have to pinch myself sometimes because like I'll be riding on my horse, pulling a mule string, up looking down over this crazy canyon. And I have a sandwich in my hand and a bag of Fritos, and I'm eating my lunch while I'm riding. And then I look out and I'm like, how am I getting paid for this, dude? Like it doesn't make, and like I'll be in the middle of stalking like 2 years ago in 2023. I can remember this like it was yesterday. I was with this guy named Jason Gordon. He was one of the coolest dudes I've ever gotten to hunt with, and
Uh-huh.
we're stalking up on elk that are 600 yards away, crawling on our hands and knees, dude, army crawling the whole way. And we get up to 300 yards, stand up. He puts his rifle on my shoulder and cracks an elk and drops her at 300 yards. And like, it takes me a second because, like, in the moment, you're just thinking it's all fun. You're hunting. And
Yeah.
that's what I love to do is hunt. And then you kind of look at it and you're like, dude, this is my job. Like, how and a lot of the time I joke with my buddy Sam that like one day we'll wake up and we're gonna be in straight jackets in a padded room and be like talking
Yeah.
about the Loxaw River and the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness and
Yeah.
it
We're living
it
in the Matrix.
yeah well, it just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. Where you get out there and there's nobody around and you get to experience things that most people won't see in their entire life. They'll
Yeah.
they especially I try and get as many people from the East Coast out here as I can. And Tyler, you are more than welcome to come out here anytime you want. I'll take you fishing, I'll take you hunting, I'll do whatever you want to
Dude,
come
we'll
out. Just let
we'll
me
plan
know.
something. We'll plan something next year. We'll
Heck
we'll
yeah,
text about it. I'll get you on
it
another
sounds good.
episode and then we'll plan something. Maybe I can portably bring some of this stuff. We'll have to check TSA guidelines first. Make sure
Oh,
that's
dude.
okay.
You don't get podcast stuff out here. I do want to show you one more thing before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Please.
so I was talking about that video where I let a cow estrus call go and that bull
Yeah.
responded on a dime.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, this is so I'll show you. This was the bull that I got last year with
Holy
my
shit,
one client.
dude.
And
That's wild. That's huge.
oh yeah,
How big we talking?
dude, he's a 300-inch bull, so he went record book for Pope and Young.
Wow.
But that bull probably weighed 500-600 pounds. And what's even crazier about that bull is we called at him for 8 hours straight until we killed him. That bull came into sub 50 yards 3 separate times, and he only got arrowed on the third time.
Did he like scamper back or like he was too skittish for you to have an opportunity?
So, dude, and with elk, it's very much situational on what they're doing. This bull, I couldn't figure out what he wanted. He just wanted to fight. Like he wanted to fucking kick my ass. So I'm like, I have a bugle tube that I call with, and I'll rip a bugle, dude, he'd rip right back. And we bugled at each other probably 300 times the whole
That's
course of
crazy.
the day. And
Wow.
I was like just going back and forth with him. And this bull, the first time it came in at 50 yards. And we have alder brush out here that stands real tall. Dude, I could see his antlers hanging out of the alder brush. And he stopped at 50 yards when I hit a cow call, and he didn't want to come any closer. And he just turned around and walked away. And if they do that, you still got
Wow.
him. The second time he came in, we watched this bull rip a tree apart for 20 minutes right in front of us. But it was pixie sticked in front of us. It was so
Uh,
brushed in. I
yeah.
kept trying to get my client to slip in on him to get an arrow in him. Well, if he would have walked out on him at 7 yards.
Wow.
So we couldn't do that. And then the last
Yeah.
time, I mean, we
Too
we
close.
sat and ate lunch, and I don't know if you've ever watched the show Deadwood,
I've
but
seen the first like 6 episodes, I think.
so that was like my favorite show to watch last year. Dude, we're sitting there eating lunch like tinfoil ham and cheese sandwiches and crackers
Yep.
and stuff, listening to this bull bugle 250 yards away and for 3 hours. And I
Uh-huh.
told him, I said, he's in his bed. We're not going to bugle at him until he stands up. And we heard him get up, and I ripped a bugle, and dude, this bull was on us within 3 minutes and got arrowed.
Immediately.
And that was the last thing of the day. But that
Yeah.
was my first wilderness bull that I had actually ever gotten. Like I
Uh-huh.
had bulls into 10 yards for multiple clients. None of them had ever gotten a bull. This guy,
Really?
yeah, and it's just because everything has to play out so
Yep.
perfectly in an archery situation, and it wasn't happening. And then it
Hmm.
happened for this guy. And then this video, so I'll show you this. This was the video from last year.
Uh-huh.
So this is me calling.
Wait, I heard it for a second. Now I can't hear it.
Here, I'll send you the video too.
Okay.
If you listen to it, so you'll hear me. I call at him one time, and this
Uh,
bull, you hear as soon as he hears my call, you hear his bugle drop into this raspy bugle, and we call it chuckling. And if they're chuckling at
uh,
you, dude, they are ready to go. And he chuckled for like 10 seconds straight, and I turned around and looked at my clients, and I'm like, holy shit. I mean, and we had another one a couple years ago that I'll show you this one. This is a lot louder. Um, but this bull came into 15 yards on us, so you'll hear me call at him.
mhm.
You hear that?
No, I don't know why it's not picking it up. That's
Here,
weird.
let me back up. It might be too loud.
Still can't hear it.
I'll send this one to you too. But we had a bull come in right behind our cabins to like 15 yards, dude, and I just was having a bugle match back and forth with him, and he'd cut me off, I'd cut him off, and like this bull hung around for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just walking
Yeah.
back and forth on the tree line while we were saddling up mules because they like horses and mules. They like being around them. So
Uh-huh.
this bull, we were just watching him go back and forth, and then I grab my bugle tube, I rip a bugle, he freaking cut me off again. I mean, it was stupid.
Unbelievable. Yeah, dude,
But
those
the
are the kind of like wildlife interactions that I just like I've never had. I would love to do so. So unique, man. I feel like just
on
interacting
it,
like that with
and
the
if you ever
wildlife.
wanted to go, I tried to get a couple people from Palmyra hunting out here, but it's like our hunts are, for an archery elk hunt, it's a $6,800 hunt.
Oh
So
yeah,
a lot of people don't want to drop 6,800 on a chance that they don't get a bull because like our success rate's like I think
absolutely.
30 or 40%, but our opportunity rate
Sure.
is a lot higher. So it's really, it depends on if you make the best of your opportunity or if you don't get the bull.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah, dude. I just wanted to comment before we wrap it up. I don't think enough people get that natural, raw, genuine experience. I mean, I'm sitting here apart from you, looking at a screen. I look at a screen for 8 hours a day for my job. I have a phone
mhm,
screen that I look for another 2 hours. Like I've become so accustomed to just doing that. And like you said, in the rhythm of the technology world. And I feel like sometimes people just don't understand what it's like to do what you're doing out there. I think like not only from a nature perspective, but almost like animalistic or like I don't know.
spiritual.
I feel like yeah, spiritual. Yes, that's the word. That's exactly what I was looking for.
You have it's a connection with the land that it's like
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're saying, where like most people, I mean, if you deer hunt and stuff, you can communicate with deer and you can grunt a buck in, you can rattle a buck in, sit there and like have the experience of like, you just called that animal in. But
Mm-hmm.
to have a full-blown conversation with an elk, like
It's
most
probably
people
unbelievable.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'm, not doing when I'm having a conversation with an elk is looking at my phone. And the reason for that is we don't have phone service for 100 miles out there. So you
Right.
honestly, like when I go out there, I forget about technology, except for when I'm using my Onyx maps or using my Garmin InReach to do satellite texting or whatever. But
Hmm.
most of the time, like a lot of people, have you ever seen the show Westworld?
I've not. I have heard of it though.
Dude, you want to talk about a
Wow.
show that can mentally incapacitate somebody? Because
Yes, I love that.
it talks about the show itself makes a joke out of humans pretty much, is that we get into
Uh-huh.
these rhythms, and no matter how much you try and deviate from your rhythm, you always come back to square one
Hmm.
and you start from jump every day that way. And that's really why I love my job, is because every single day is completely different from the next. And it's
Yep.
never the same, ever. Whether, even if you're packing hay for 7 days in a row, something different is going to happen every single day that
Yep.
keeps you on your toes, that keeps you interested. And it's all about, the experience in general. It's not really like the guys that I work with, we don't really look at it as a job anymore. It's more of just a
Hmm.
passion and having fun, enjoying yourself while you're still quote unquote working. But and that's why like I've tried to get people that are back home that don't really know what they want to do in life, but if they have like this awesome interest in the outdoors, like I try and tell people like there are routes to get out of what you're doing. Like you could do backcountry photo safaris, trail
Hmm.
rides, just hiking, like hiking safaris. Go back and enjoy nature. But the other thing too is like, and I said it in Pennsylvania, you don't have access to what we have out here. And a lot of the people in Idaho
Sure.
take it completely for granted. They think that like I've talked to many people in Idaho, they think that this is normal.
Hmm.
This is not normal on by any means. Like, dude, you can't just walk anywhere in Pennsylvania and have 1.3 million acres of uncut, unlogged, untamed wilderness. We have
Yeah.
three separate wilderness areas in Idaho. We have the
Love that.
Frank Church, the Bob Marshall, and the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness, and the Sawtooths. We have the Sawtooths too. And
Hmm.
each one of those public land designated wilderness areas is over a million acres. The Frank Church is 2.3
Wow.
million acres.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's a swath of public land that you can just
Yeah.
go do what you want. Do what you want. Go have fun. It's
That's
stupid.
wild. That is crazy. We're not, dude. We're not built to be staring at screens. We're built to be enjoying nature,
Yeah.
interacting with
You feel more
animals.
connected. You feel
Yes.
more ground. In my opinion, like today when I was out fishing in that river, like I was freaking chest deep in the
Yeah.
river fishing, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm like, I wonder. And I would do that in Pennsylvania too, in the Swatty. Like I'd go out,
Right.
smaller
Sure.
fish in the Swatty, but you just feel, in my opinion, better, more connected, and more grounded. That, if you have an outlet to go, and that's another thing is that like the outdoors can be an outlet for relaxation and peace. If you want
Hmm.
to go clear your mind, best thing you can do is go hike a freaking hike. Go hike Governor Dick, you know?
Yeah.
Like go up to the top of that tower and look, and you can see three separate counties from the top of that tower. And people go hike rails and trails. Just go enjoy nature for what it is. If you can't, go out west and go do what people are doing out here, just enjoy what's around you. Like we have plenty of national forests and state forests in Pennsylvania that we have trail systems through, and you can go and enjoy yourself. But not enough people take advantage of that because, like
Right.
you said, you get wrapped up in a screen, and a lot of people are getting wrapped up in the politics that are going on right now.
Hmm.
A lot of people are getting wrapped up in just everyday stuff that shouldn't people shouldn't harp on. Like life isn't that serious. A lot of people don't recognize that. Life is, you are given one of these. You have
Yep.
one life. And if you know, want to sit at home and, don't like I used to play Warzone. I had three in the first year Warzone was out. I had 3 months of logged hours on Warzone.
Wow.
Okay, in COVID, I was good at Warzone. I
Oh
had to
yeah.
give it. I still I haven't touched my Xbox in a year, except for, watching Netflix or watching, HBO Max or something
Yep.
on it. But I used to be so religiously, like every single night I'd get home from work, I'd hop on Warzone. I'd be
Yep.
up until 4 in the morning playing Warzone. And, and then I got into guiding in like the first year that I got back to Pennsylvania. And the other thing too is a lot of people don't realize the noise. Like the noise that nobody realizes they're hearing until they get to a place that's silent,
Yep.
and then they go back in. Like my first year guiding, dude, I went back in November. I went to guide school in August,
Mhm.
guided September, October, November, and got back right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And somebody invited me to go to P-Man's in Hershey
Yep.
on November 23rd or whatever. So I went
Yep.
down to P-Man's. I walked in there. I was like ready to kill somebody. Because I was
Overstimulation.
like, this is, yeah. Well, I walked in and, like, I had been gone for a couple months, and all these people from high school that I hadn't seen in a couple years, dude, I'm walking through the bar and people are grabbing me by the back of the hood, pulling me backwards. And I finally turned around and went, if somebody fucking touches me again, I'm gonna lose it, dude. And it's just because when you get isolated like that, and then you come back into like the real world. I call it the real world because where I work is not the real world. When I come back into the real world, it's like, you got planes, helicopters, lawnmowers,
Yeah.
cars, everything flying by. And
Yep.
it's like there's so much noise that people don't realize cannot be there if you
Yep.
try hard enough. And the
Yeah.
silence is
Yep.
what
Yep.
makes people go into a peaceful mindset.
Yep.
That's when you realize, like, man, maybe life isn't that serious. Maybe I shouldn't be, harping on my neighbor because he has his dog unleashed and running around the yard and it runs
Yep.
out in the street sometimes. Like
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's
Yeah.
just all the little things start to not matter anymore.
Yep.
Big
Yep.
things matter.
Yep. And before I get into a whole separate segue about overstimulation and over reliance on technology, we'll probably have to wrap it up. I need to eat
Oh,
dinner
that sounds good.
and I can only edit so much at a time. But I will promise you this. I'll book you again maybe next July. Actually, you said you're off November, December. So maybe actually I
Oh,
have
I'm
a
off the
full
whole winter until March. So
until March. Okay,
whenever.
perfect. Perfect. I'm booking out in January right now. So that's ideal. You won't be home at all. You'll be living in Idaho still. I guess it's
Yeah,
still a far trip to
so
come down here.
actually we'll be home. I'll be home for, I think we're gonna come home like December 20th and
Nice.
stay until just a little after New Year's, like probably 2 weeks, and then we'll fly back out here.
Nice. Very fun.
So
Maybe we'll link up during that time. But dude, again, such a pleasure. Like that was such an awesome conversation. I love to hear about all that, man. It's so A, it's interesting to me because it's just interesting shit. And B, it's like it's so much more prevalent because you're passionate about it. You enjoy what you're doing. You want to be there, and that makes a better conversation and story, in my opinion. Like I get the most out of people who are passionate about a specific subject. That might be their career, that might be a hobby, whatever that is, that's my goal, as a
mhm.
podcaster in the Slanted Attic Experience, right? Like that's what we're going for. And I just want
Yeah.
to thank you for just being passionate about what you do, man. Like, yeah, we appreciate it. Everybody should appreciate you because you're not only doing it for the clients and yourselves, you're respecting the nature, you're making it a better place because you're killing animals that would overstimulate the population, take resources out of other animals' food banks, and yeah, just overall treat. Probably you're leaving it probably in a better place than you got there. So that's always the line we're looking to exceed. But again, man, it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Tyler, dude. It was a pleasure talking to you, man, and getting to share the experiences from out here.
Yeah,
Whenever you get a chance, take a look at those videos that I sent you, and you'll get a little bit of an idea of, what it's like to be 15 yards from an elk bugling, and just even through a phone screen, dude.
yeah,
It still just amps you up. But thank you for
absolutely.
having me on, and thank you for
Yeah,
letting me share, everything that I got to share and share my passion of the outdoors. And I hope that, if somebody listens to this that's, around our age or something, and is trying to get their feet wet and maybe want to go out, try fishing, try hunting for the first time, I hope they take that step and find a buddy. If you can't go out by yourself, find a buddy close by, and that ain't
Yep.
hard to do, especially on the East Coast or the West Coast. Everybody,
Yep.
there's hunters everywhere.
Yep. So before we go, any resources that you might want to plug? I've got like the apps and stuff that we talked about earlier. I'll link those. I'll get the audio files. I'll put in some of those from our discussions that you sent me. But do you want to highlight any, like, your company at all? I know you have an Instagram page. I can put that in the description as well. But anything you want to highlight before we get going?
Yeah, if anybody's ever interested, in booking a hunt or even just looking into us, Boulder Creek Outfitters is the outfit that I work for. And if you look up Boulder Creek online, we have our own website, bouldercreekoutfitters.com, and we're currently we do take more hunters than any outfit in the lower 48 at this point in time. So it's, we try and get an influence out there, but we get people like Hannah Barron and Christy Cook, and like a couple years ago, I got to hunt with Donald Trump Jr.
That's neat. Yeah.
And so if you ever want to contact me, robtaylor.guide on Instagram or Robert Taylor on Facebook. The apps that I do want to give a shout out, Onyx Hunt. If you
Onyx
ever
Hunt.
like, Onyx is the number one platform in my opinion for backcountry mapping and trying to find your way through a wilderness, marking waypoints, just finding your way around. I had said Fish Brain for anyone like getting into
Yep.
fishing. If you're new into fishing, Fish Brain is an awesome tool to be able to get an idea of the area around you. Uh, and then Garmin, uh, if Garmin didn't exist, I wouldn't have helicopter insurance. I wouldn't have my SOS button. I wouldn't be able to contact people from the backcountry. So, uh, Garmin plays a huge role in what we do and kind of keeping us safe back there. So, other than that, I don't really think I have anybody else to shout out. Matt and Tim Craig, those are my outfitters. Matt Craig is Tim's son, and Tim started this outfit when he was 26 years old, and he's
Love it.
73 now, and he's still going, still running it. So that's true passion right there. That's what I aspire to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, man, that's wonderful, and we'll throw all those links in the description for anybody who would like to check out Rob or Boulder Creek Outfitters. I'm sure they have social media profiles as well, so go give them a tap, go check them out, see what they're about. Even if you cannot afford the price tag that Rob said earlier, there's plenty you can learn from their website, those experiences, people that have been on trips such as those. But for everybody listening, thanks for spending 2 hours with us. We really appreciate each and every one of you. You can find us on all social medias at Slanted Attic or the Slanted Attic Experience. We'll see you guys later.